All right, gentlemen. Is it time to spill the tea?
However you
Tea,
want
what are
to,
we, England?
however you want to do this.
Well, I don't know what the fucking plan is. I just kind of wanted to do this out of the blue. I haven't done Magic at the Gathering content, especially podcast content. Like what? I think the last Mana Dorks episode was in late 2018, early 2019. And I believe John was like one of the last episodes. He was a guest on there, and he was one of the last ones there, and that was kind of funny. But
Oh boy.
it's been quite a while, and for those of you that are watching that have no idea what the fuck's going on, my name is Tasty Snackies. I am joined with my two co-hosts, Coach from Card Bazaar
What's up?
and Kevin from Rogue Deck Builder and Rogue
Howdy.
Market. And we're just three dudes just fucking chilling out and shooting the shit about Magic the Gathering because fuck it, why not? There's already a million different podcasts out there, so we might as well just kind of add to the noise. Besides, all three of us are a bit dejected and also rejected. And we're just kind of over it and want to talk about all the bullshit. So, speaking of bullshit, and John earlier from my podcast, Coach, why don't you start us off here? Why don't you tell us why we're here in the first place?
Yeah, that's a great point because so it all started with the Reddit thread, and just to clarify, like, I didn't think this thing would get so big and out of hand. I'm thinking like if 12 people like it and a few people retweet it, that's pretty good. But basically, I did the audiobooks, the unofficial audiobooks for my channel for the lore stuff, and posted on Reddit, the main Reddit, which was probably a bad idea in the first place. And they took it down because they were claiming it was illegal. So I put this huge Twitter rant in the Twitterverse and got a lot of attraction and got a lot of attention. Well, then all of a sudden somebody tagged Hambly, and I was apparently
Hambly.
stupid enough.
Who's
Yes.
Hambly?
Hambly is Unsleeved Media,
Mm-hmm.
also known as Jeremy, also known as The Quartering. I think that's the channel, I believe.
Yeah, that's his bigger
not-
channel.
I'm not really sure exact. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, the quartering.
And somebody tagged it. I was apparently stupid enough to comment on it, and it what seemed to be in favor of it. And I was trying to clarify it, but as soon as I guess hit send, it was like I basically swore myself to the so-called Satan of the Magic community.
So
And
when that happened, like, did you think in your mind, like maybe he was gonna maybe make a video on his quartering channel about it, or just kind of share it through Twitter and let other people know what's going on? Like, what did you think was gonna happen exactly?
I thought at the very least he was gonna reply how stupid this is. That's what I like. That's what I thought, and which that's okay. Whatever. If he ended up doing a video somehow, which was not what I was trying to get across, it was just the comment I was trying to get at was this would kind of upgrade the problem to a higher magnitude to get it up there to get more attention.
To be fair, it did blow up pretty big on your Twitter feed. Like, what'd you hit? You hit 130 likes and
Yeah, it was something like that. But that was getting traction before somebody tagged him in there into the conversation.
exactly. You were already
So
getting momentum.
yeah, but the the bigger issue was not how big the tweet got, but all the ramifications of my comment afterwards. Because I said that would be epic, and not clarifying what I meant by that was what I was trying to get at was up the stakes, get more attention to it. And apparently in the Magic the Gathering universe, in the Twitterverse for the Magic community, that's not only is it a no, but it's a death sentence.
And
it's
Kevin, would you mind to explain why that would be a death sentence? Why an association with Jeremy is such a bad thing?
Well, Jeremy's banned, so there's that. And yeah, I guess that siding with Jeremy would have been my I wouldn't say it definitely wasn't my first or last offense, but it was the offense that uh got my exiling from at least from cool stuff, at least from the so up until that point, just a little bit of a history of where I come from as far as Magic Gathering community. I've been sponsored by Gathering Magic slash cool stuff for about what, like 4 years. And
Mm.
I still have to give credit where credit's due is I don't think that I would even still be doing Magic the Gathering if it wasn't for that initial sponsorship because it was the kind of motivation that I needed to keep on going. It was recognition. It was the funding at first when there was no point. Back in the day, YouTube ad revenue was even people talk about how it's bad now. It was worse back then with trying to start a channel and get name recognition and whatnot. So the cool stuff sponsorship put gas onto the fire for at least uh, my quote unquote career to get going.
Hmm.
And I was one of their best viewed, most watched. A lot of people. One of the times, one of the owners went out to eat with him in Vegas, and he pulled me aside and said he loved my content because, unlike other of their more spiky content, my stuff actually sold.
Hmm.
Because everyone can go look up the latest tier deck and whatnot and find a bazillion different places to buy it. But the more janky, casual stuff, that stuff actually sold because I'd be the first one to talk about something, then people would want to build the deck.
Hmm.
So anyway, I guess where I'm going with this is that there was a reason for them keeping me on board, but when Unsleeved Media, when Jeremy had his big tiff with Christine Sprinkle and the Magic Gathering community tried to white knight their way to protect him, lady, and get him banned, I basically jumped in the fray and said, "Hey, maybe people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones," referring to two people that were claiming to be bullied by MTG headquarters. And two of them are the most notorious gatekeepers slash bullies that the Magic community's ever had. And so that's basically all I said. And then I got reprimanded for it. And then it wasn't enough to. The thing is, I didn't apologize or I didn't double down though. I just was like, hey, I didn't. All I'm saying here, I'm just calling out some people that are being hypocritical here,
Hmm.
and then that wasn't enough and I was let go after that. So yeah, there's a lot of to be associated with Jeremy is definitely not a career move you should be doing if you want anything have anything to do in Magic the Gathering.
Even
or even commenting on it for that matter. Like
yeah,
because if you, it's yeah, it's ridiculous. But it was
unless
the
unless you're
aftermath.
saying how much of a piece of shit he is,
Yeah,
if you're anyway inferring anything positive about him, that's pretty much a death sentence in terms
yeah.
of like trying to quote unquote grow yourself in the MTG community, and by which the only way is to appease to the biggest of the content creators. Because I mean, you could even appeal to Wizards of the Coast and be shared on their website, and you might get a little bit boost in views or anything. But I mean, it just seems like every middling person in the MTG community in terms of like YouTube viewership or podcasts or whoever's in that mid range all kind of seem like they're just constantly climbing over on top of each other in moral grandstanding to see who's, you know, the best beta white knight of them all, I guess. But
Well, to be honest, I think it's actually getting better in a way.
you think?
Arena brought more of the gamers into it. And if you actually look at some of the people that play on Arena and get pretty decent views, they're not part of the hip culture,
The
the
mainstream.
yeah. So that's the good news about it that I think it is changing. But yeah, the culture is still different there and there. But they really are their own bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And they all think that they're more important than they really are for sure.
Well, about that. So the aftermath of Saturday and all that little stuff that went down. We were in a group conversation with the old podcast, the 10 Street Hooligans, for some of you who may remember, and got to a point where, like, we had people saying that within the chat that, oh, you should try to like save face, and I was trying to ask like, well, what do you want me to do, basically? And then it got to Sunday morning, and I actually turned off the notification. I was telling both of y'all this earlier that I actually turned off notifications because my actual worry was the possible cease and desist that Wizards might come after me for doing the old 25-year-old like books that nobody's on audiobook or unofficial audiobooks over. And that was what I was actually more worried about. I wasn't even worried about the comment that I made. I thought at that point, it's like, oh, people are actually discussing like the legal ramifications and all this, which is a good point. Like, I mean, and I tried my best to like go through the right channels and the right connections and all that. That was what I was more worried about. And still to this day, no cease and desist. So I think I'm lucky, even though like, you know, you're allowed to put ads and stuff. And like, I think maybe all the books combined maybe paid for like half the lawyer fee that came with it. It wasn't even that much. So like, if they take it down, like whoop-de-doo. But that was what I was more worried about. I was worried about the videos being taken down. And then come to find out in the morning, one person in our party basically couldn't handle the said drama, which wasn't even really directly affecting
Don't worry about not dropping names. You know, just put it all out on the table. You know?
I mean,
at this point, I hope that a lot of, or quote unquote, a lot of the 10th Street Hooligan viewers are able to find this and understand why, you know, there is no 10th Street Hooligans anymore, because the reason why I knew is because the main host, John, had just posted on Twitter randomly out of nowhere, this is done. I don't like kind of want to be associated with it anymore. It's kaput. That was it. I checked his YouTube channel. I've been checking over the past few days to see if like there's going to be an announcement video or nothing. Just everybody's just kind of left in the dark. So I think it'd be really kind of not necessary, but I guess necessary for people to know exactly kind of what went down. And because personally, I feel like particularly one member of that podcast, is somebody that I really think kind of needs to be called out for their behavior a little bit, so that way they understand that, you know, it's not okay to be just this generally bad of a friend and a person, you know. So,
well,
who started the meltdown?
Basically, our I think it was Pixie who was basically saying that that they didn't want to be part of this. They couldn't handle the drama. And in a fair point, I don't know if Pixie was actually getting any sort of like personal mail, but she exactly wasn't sending any like snapshots or like any explanation of what was going on. She just said she couldn't handle the drama,
which is fine. So, you know, if you can't handle the heat and get out of the kitchen, you can't really blame anyone for doing that.
Well, but then it got on to with John basically saying that with all the stuff going on with work and stuff and all the stuff that happened the day before or that yesterday, which was that Saturday, that he just basically were like disbanding. We're just going to shut it down and all that. And so basically I got left out to dry. Nobody really like responded to even
they straight up ghosted you after that, didn't they? They just
yeah, because I was actually like I was talking about the cease and desist. I put a pretty decently long thing about the cease and desist and like if I did everything right or like did I screw up, and like nobody replied back to that. Like in the 8 or 12 hours that was like on there, like nobody even replied, and they just went straight to like this is hurting us and this is affecting us, and basically yeah, you're right, I got ghosted and just kind of got dropped like a bad habit. And then I got a couple personal messages. John actually never reached out to me personally. Zuby talked to me for a little bit, but it was really along the realms of hey, it is what it is, like damage has been done, can you please take down my videos? Which, you know, like a month ago, I was trying to get him to do, you know, we were trying to work together to do more D&D or Commander stuff for the channel. So trying to get him more exposure. And he just basically asked, can you take my videos down? Which all I said was, yeah, I'll take them down. And they're down. And then the only person on that podcast that really, we actually went back and forth and who I actually still have a bit of respect for is Johnny Slivers. Like he's the only person that, while it's disappointing like that, you know, we're basically probably not going to talk, he at least had he at least had the guts and the fortitude to like at least reply back to me and give me his 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
So Slivers,
Because the other three
you
to
know,
date still haven't said anything really beyond that, have they?
no,
Besides
they
him just asking to take the content down from your site, no one else has reached out or anything.
no. John has. I mean, John put out that letter, which I guess he took down, and somebody actually linked it to me, that Google Docs, and I showed both of y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how true and authentic it was. I mean, there could be a sliver of truth to it, but at the same time, like I don't know, just the way all the previous stuff happened was just super quick and like just without a care or thought in the world. And
It's heartbreaking how fast it just all fell apart, really, because you and John, in particular, have known each other and have worked together for what, 4 years? Just
2016. Well, we all three of us, like
yeah.
me, John, and you, we all went up in the ranks in the amino apps.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all going up at the same time. Like we all basically had the same rough starting point
Mm-hmm.
of our channels. So yeah, like we were both doing this. I mean, I was one of the original founders of 10th Street Hooligans with Slivers and Zuby and all that, and Rachel Pixiekin was a later addition down the road, but we all started like around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So for that to happen, and for that to happen so quickly and without really even any dialogue besides like please take down my videos, or but
Considering your guys' relationship has been talking to each other a
yeah,
lot over the
yeah,
past few years,
yeah.
and then to just see it dissolve over nothing with no communication makes no sense. At least from an outsider like me trying to look into the situation, it seems so bizarre.
Well, and like I kind of to do the podcast was to kind of help John out, to get him a little bit more exposure, because I thought like maybe some of my viewers, people from my channel, when we post all this stuff, that would get a little bit more attention and would get attention to everyone else. Like to me, to me, this wouldn't have helped me at all. Like I did this for 2.5, 3 years, and this wouldn't have helped me at all. It was just my way of helping John out for the most part.
Yeah, you were just having fun.
Yeah, like absolutely. And don't get me wrong, we had a blast doing it. We did have a lot of fun conversations, but that's all in the past now. And like, you know, basically over one comment. Not swear my allegiance to Unsleeved Media,
It was
which I
just it
still
was a simple acknowledgement, really.
well,
That's all it
well,
was.
which to me it's like I have really no direct relation or any real contact with the guy. I think the last contact I really had with him was during the whole Spranklegate stuff. That was almost 2 years ago, and but
Yeah.
with that, like, there's no like, it's not like I talk to Jeremy every day, or as I talk to Hambly or whatever you would like to call. Like, it's been like 2 years since I even made a mention of him. Like, I know who he is because I have an older brother that does watch him, and he'll every now and then tell me like what's going on with the stuff, because he has that quartering channel, I guess. And but it's just one comment. It wasn't even like, oh yes, I swear myself to Hambly, yes, like I watch all this stuff all the time. And I even told him, like, every now and then I do watch his stuff because there's some topics that show up that are like kind of interesting. And so like I did tell him I did watch it, and at that point they didn't drop me. But it's like as soon as I made
That's
basically
surprising.
some acknowledgement to
Some
that.
form of public acknowledgement.
Yes,
Not
yes,
behind
yes.
closed doors, but for the rest of the Magic the Gathering community to see, like Jake Boss and Tolarian Community College
Oh
and
yeah,
whoever.
and they got tagged too. I think somebody tagged the bigger YouTubers, and they tagged like three of them. Tolarian was one of them. Quartering was like in a tag by himself by some random person. And Jake Boss, I think, was actually the one who said, "I was with you up until this point," which to me, I think.
Was he really with you?
Yeah, but how does it? Please explain to me how you're up. You're up with someone to this point. Is either you're right or you're wrong in your original, regardless of who you get to signal boost or please explain that to me. I don't understand how you can be with someone up to a point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's
I
so
don't know.
spineless.
Well, I mean, either your Reddit post should have been taken down or it should have.
Mm-hmm.
What does Hambly have to do with anything? What is tagging Hambly or saying it'd be cool that if someone else could signal boost it? Oh man, these people, these frothers, they. Oh.
The first sign of true controversy appears, and they all fold like a house of cards. It,
Well, yeah, that's what's getting me. Is it like think of the things that usually break up uh, groups or something that's been going on as long as it's this was it. This was the straw. This man, they should. How are they? The thing that bugs me is a lot of them are still they haven't blocked me. They still communicate with me if I. Do they realize who I am? I mean, Coach is an angel compared to me. The things that I've said, and I am not apologetic whatsoever of the things. I still stand by a lot of the things I've said. I used to walk back some stuff, especially when I said the word retard, and I used to walk it back, and then I did a whole little apology thing of, yeah, I understand how that could be offensive, and especially when one of the video editors at Gather Magic has a son with Down syndrome. I get it. I'm not going to say anymore, and stuff like that. But now I use it like a badge of honor, just because it's like, because people took that out of context, I might as well say it offensively.
mm-hmm.
And it's just funny how that was the thing. Just tagging Hambly was the thing for people to just go completely.
No, not just tagging. It was the commenting on
The supporting
said-
comment.
Woohoo!
The ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
Man, it's so
This is
pathetic.
Yep. This is how it goes, boys. This is how it works. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. It kind of seems to me like the 2.5, 3 years that I did the podcast. Like now I'm kind of wondering, like, how.
Were there any signs prior? Like, was there any any way that could have, like, throughout the past or throughout the show's history, that maybe could have, like, built up to this? Like, did you have any conflicts with Slivers or John or Kitten or anything?
Slivers, not so much. Zuby, I mean, we were more interested in trying to, like, get him up with my YouTube videos, but I guess, like, if I had to maybe narrow some stuff, maybe I would put some stuff in the group chat and nobody would really respond. I don't know if everyone was busy or whatnot, but now I'm kind of thinking back, that could have been a sign of, like, really nobody cares about my opinion, even though, like, I'm over here like busting my tail knowing that, like, this doesn't help me, like, whatsoever. Like, this was to help, like, other people. So, like, I took this was a day out of the week, every about 1.5 to 2 hours, like, every, like, one day out of the week, which for me, especially, it's, I'm a newlywed, and it's like, that's time I could be spending with, like, my wife. But now it's like, I'm with you fine gentlemen, and she's already off. It's so late at this point that she's already off to bed. We've already spent our time today. And so, like, she's already off to bed, like, doing her thing.
We appreciate your contribution.
Well, let's focus on that for a second, because this is how their responses, their public responses, they acted like this was just a business move, that they needed to protect their business and their brand by disassociating with you because you crossed some lines. And then I keep thinking about it. What business? This is just a group of friends that got, and pardon being offensive, if I'm going to be offensive here, hundreds of views. Maybe.
I
mean, what's the highest viewed podcast?
I think when I was perusing before John took down most of the videos, on average they were getting between, like, 30 to, like, 70 views.
That is not a business. It's not even close to a business. This is a bunch of friends that were having fun doing a podcast. That is not a friend thing to do, to then completely burn it down over one. Even if they consider a misstep, because I don't even consider it a misstep, but even if they consider it a misstep, what kind of person does that show that you are, that you're willing to just burn everything down over one little misstep? I'd have zero friends left if I got so petty about that. Maybe it's just the people that I associate with must be garbage humans, because the things I've put up with. Cough, Zach. Cough, cough, Zach. Try to get a reaction out of him. What is he doing back there?
He's working.
Someone has to work around
I
here.
didn't actually see Zach's face up until that time. Zach's always been this mysterious. Like I've seen his body because he's always perusing around in the background, but I've actually never seen his face, so it's kind of good.
Really?
But yeah, actually, yeah, it's
weird. There's
like,
some old card shop lives on
yeah.
Kevin's channel that have him.
Well,
on
it's
there.
like you know how like it's the old cartoon show. I guess it's Cow and Chicken. I think where it's the parents like the top halves are like cut off. That was basically Zach for like the longest time up until like those 2 minutes ago. So, but yeah, dude, like it was a business decision for a business that was not
like let's be honest here. I have a channel that has probably double the amount of subscribers that John does, and certainly much more views than he does. Not to like toot my own horn, but to just provide examples. In the about 4-year period in which I've been quote unquote consistently uploading videos and taking AdSense revenue, I've gained in total about $370.
Yeah.
I think that was my most recent and only withdrawal was that much. So to say that that was like a business decision, knowing the amount of money that I make and guessing roughly the amount of money that he's probably made on his channel, saved from like random donations through like live streams or whatever, it wasn't a business move. Or if it was, it was one of the stupidest business moves,
And
considering
if they
you
were
were
thinking-
the largest member on that podcast in terms of popularity.
Well, and even they said like the last time we did the very last episode, they were the ones that admitted like you have more views than like all of our stuff like combined. Like the timeline video just itself has 325,000 views, which is more than like any of them have. Like I think even my old card anthology videos are like in the 50 or 30,000 like range, which is like more than like nobody even comes like close to that. It's because like I wanted to find a niche, like a little something that nobody's really doing, and that's kind of how it became successful. Because, well, I say successful, like, you know, I'm getting some AdSense money. I actually got paid today, $125, and 75 of it, 80 of it was from the timeline video, and the other videos are getting like $40. Like the other 124 videos are getting on average like 33 cents. Like, and that includes the audiobooks. Like, so I mean,
when you're making niche of niche content, there's not much money in it at all. And so to think that, you know, you're jeopardizing your future by this association with someone that's not even really that involved with the community anymore is just so jarring. And that's why I just can't believe John's reasoning for wanting to do this. It seems like it might be just, did he run away with his tail between his legs? Like that's the only thing I can really assume at this point.
He made it about him too. That's what pisses me off too, is because I don't see any evidence that Cardsphere dropped. I mean, I'm still very friendly with Cardsphere, and I don't think they dropped the sponsorship for.
Well, and like I talked to the Cardsphere guys, and I think they didn't. You know, they were saying like you misspoke, but it's not like we're gonna condemn you.
Yeah, I still on very personal levels with them, and like I said, I've done way more damning things.
Of all people, like Kenobi, like reached out to me and was kind of inquiring, "Hey, what do you mean by this?" Which was more.
And he's like one of the more staunch kind of anti.
He's BFFs
Jeremy.
with the most offended person.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, but even he was like, because we were going back and forth about other things, and then kind of like later, I guess that Saturday night or Sunday night, whatever day it was like a little bit later, he was actually asking about what I meant by that, and I made my explanation, and then he actually went on like by saying like, I really don't know you that well, but if you did like, basically it's like if you did misspeak or you made a mistake, like it shouldn't condemn you. Like we shouldn't condemn a person for the rest of your life. And he was basically went and finished with saying, I hope you have a good luck with your channel, like good luck with your future. So he kind of ended it on like a positive note, but just him reaching out just to clarify, just to like kind of wanted to know more about what I meant by that.
That was more effort than most of your podcast co-hosts ever did, and
And
that was someone who barely ever talked to you.
and even if Kenobi doesn't agree with me, at least he came out and reached out, and and was just at least questioning it. At least came in and like questioned it, because he could have said all kinds of stuff, and that would have been more respectful than like what the others. Because like I said, the communication I got was, one, take down the videos, and with Slivers, by us going back and forth, and how it was kind of business decision, and he doesn't hate me, but he still
What was it
basically
that he
wants.
even said exactly?
It was, I'm trying to remember. It was like, I don't hate you, coach, but if I want to have any success in the small amount of content creation I have, I need to cut bait with you, or something along that lines. And so,
In order to save myself and my like
Stupid.
50 subscriber channel, I need to disassociate from
Yeah,
you.
let's lose someone that I'm having a lot of great communication and work with, for the potential that maybe in the future that people are going to still look back at this somehow, like it's not going to all blow over in a day
No
because
one's
there will
gonna
be another
remember this
villain to
in
go
like a
after.
month.
Yes, I know. That was the whole thing.
yeah,
Ah,
like
I mean,
I
that's
said,
I'd learned that the hard way. Because I thought that my career was over when and then what really brought to light with this whole thing is I started getting all these new fans that never even heard of Tulane Community College, and then would you imagine that the Magic the Gathering is bigger than one guy with what 500,000 subs? What does he have now? 600,000 subs? I don't know.
I
Yeah.
think he's closing in on. But the thing about it is, what I think happened is that, and this is just my theory. I don't know how much truth there is, but I think with Jake Boss commenting on my comment led to him, I guess, reaching out to Tolarian, which then led to Tolarian unfollowing John,
What a bunch of busybodies.
and basically Tolarian blocked me, I guess, within that Saturday or Sunday. He basically blocked me. Now, granted, he followed me for a little bit and then stopped following me, and then up until about 2 weeks ago, then he just blocked me outright. So
He hasn't even blocked me or Kevin.
Yeah. So this Jake Boss, just for context, he is an editor for Game Nights.
I
Oh, is that
believe
what
so,
he
yeah.
is?
Yeah, like it. And these people are so busybodies; they have nothing better to do but try to shame and exile people. That's literally what they do all day long: is try to dig up dirt, try to. I don't know. Does it make them feel good about themselves? Like the best thing I started doing, and maybe this sounds tasteless, is a lot of my detractors, a lot of people that have always been especially vile of trying to get me canceled. I started Googling them and just looking at their pictures, and then realizing, why do I give a crap what these people
Some random
have to
schmuck.
say about? Yeah, exactly. That that's their claim to fame, is their volunteering time. I don't know if this person's getting paid or whatnot, but it's, and then that's what they do. This is how they get credit. This is how they move up the social order, is to find dirt and tear people down. Like, what does Jake Boss have anything to do with anything? He has no association with you. He has no butt out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so weird, like how all this just blew up, and it's just, to me, it's kind of a little bit ridiculous, and it just got out of hand so fast, and then just one thing after another of just ridiculousness, and then like the Sunday when the band broke up, when the podcast broke up, I was
The
talking
day
to,
of reckoning.
So I talked to you two because I was letting y'all know what was going on. I talked to Kaya Vest from EVA Trek, who does more of the Warhammer stuff now. I was kind of explained to her. Talked to MTG strategists. I talked to like a whole bunch of people, just kind of get their insight. And basically most of y'all, actually I think really all of y'all that I talked to after the band broke up, was that's what you did? Like, that's it? Because y'all were even asking me, like, did you say any more? Like, you have to have said something more. Like, there's got to be... No, that's it. I said that would be epic. And I put like a stupid ass emoji next to it. And apparently you're not supposed to put emojis on comments like that. But even you guys were like, that's it? Really? I haven't clarified for y'all, and I even sent y'all the snapshots of like, look, this is me trying to clarify. Like, I really don't care if he comes in the conversation or not. I really don't care, because I really don't have this personal association with him. I have not sworn like this blood oath and put my just cut my hand open and just.
That's like the wildest thing because like it okay, like I'm going to kind of bring myself into this because back in 2017 was like when I was like at my spiciest in the MTG community. That's when I like made my videos defending Hambly during the whole Sprinklegate thing, and I was like having Twitter arguments with people. I remember I was having having a back and
Almost got
forth
me
with
killed
Really? Which one?
by dragging me in with your conflict with crazy person.
Which one?
Who's the craziest person? I can't even say their name because I'm still afraid he'll hunt me down and shoot me.
Fuck, dude, my memory is so spotty. That year was wild for me, dude.
Starts with a D.
Desolator.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was 2016.
That was
me.
my favorite content from you making for the Desolator.
I still kind of want to. I check out his videos every now and then, but he's not really. He's just boring now. There's not really much to like mine from anymore.
It doesn't even come up in my feed anymore. So
yeah, he's not as edgy as he used to be. He's just kind of doing his own thing. He's growing. He's like past 40K or something. So he's doing well. Good for him, I guess. But during that era, I was making the videos defending Hambly. I was arguing with a bunch of people like AJ Soccer and whatnot, and like calling people retards on Twitter and just like starting shit with so many people and like Pleasant Kenobi and all.
Soccer's still canceled, right?
Yeah, he's still canceled. He hasn't tweeted in like over a year. I just checked his feed quite recently, and kind of crickets. Like everyone was just like, "Oh, that's Nick," you know, that's him just being edgy. And I was still in communication with all of you and like Zuby and John and everything.
Those were
like
my favorite. Those were my favorite videos. And you know what? You made
but
fun of Desolator,
you
and I was still watching Desolator. Like I was still enjoying his content for the most part, and you making fun of him was even a delight. Like, it was great.
Yeah.
And so
and that's why I also find it so strange that like just the one slightest association with you and you're done. Like I don't get it. Like it just it's so fucking weird. Like it was everyone just kind of ultra disappointed at the fact or something like
it's just how frothy our society has become.
Well,
it's
and,
like any sort of association with the other, that side over there, the unclean, the unwashed, and then they have to cut. I mean, look what's going on with this whole coronavirus stuff. It's even so partisan at that point where, oh my goodness, you make the comment
you don't like
that
the
hey, maybe we're
hashtag
taking
Trump
this,
virus.
Yeah, well, maybe we're taking this a little too far with this. Oh, well, you must be a Trumper. I'm never gonna support your business. Oh my gosh.
They're like with the coronavirus, there's like legitimate things to worry about. You got to worry about not only trying to protect the more susceptible population, but at the same time, looking at it, it's like we have businesses that are not like running. There's no money going in and out.
Yeah.
There's no exchange that's going on, which is a problem for an economy as large as
the price of
ours.
oil is negative.
Or
Well,
you have drones hunting people down that are in the middle of nowhere. They're by themselves and no one in a whole block's radius. And
I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen to us because we're probably like if we're not the biggest producer of oil, we're sure as hell like top 3, and seeing oil going into the negatives by a decent amount, that's going to be like very interesting and also very worrisome too, because there's schools in the area that rely on property taxes from the refineries. And so
it's just kind of like a domino effect, like what's going to be affected next after that, and then after that, and then after that.
And I could see, with the schools, I could see some of them maybe getting cut funding because it's all local taxes. So we already had a school that was like, Valero. It was either Valero or one of the other refineries in the area. It was the old school I used to work for. And so they were fighting, the company was finding that their property was too high. Their property value was too high. So they fought in court that they wanted their property value lowered. They wanted the appraisal lower so they don't pay as much taxes, which is basically what everyone in like our county does anyway. So if your appraisal is less, you pay less in taxes, obviously. So it ended up where they actually won the lawsuit, and it actually ended up to where the money that was expected for that school district was like significantly lower, to where they had to do what's known as a bare bones budget, which means that like if you get fired or if you get let go, they're probably not going to, unless you're like some sort of special area or like a teacher and coach that could serve two roles. If you get fired as a teacher, they're probably not going to hire another one. That's how bad it was for one
Wow.
particular year. And so if this did it for all the school districts with the COVID stuff and money coming in and out and people are not buying as much gas and oil and stuff, then yeah, that's going to be a real problem in all the schools in all the areas are going to get affected. And so just from a local standpoint, it's the local taxes that will get affected. So yeah, there's a real problem with, online's great and stuff, but most people and, a lot of businesses can't do online stuff, without taking some sort of hit or without changing a vast majority of how they run operations in the first place. So, it's kind of a, what do you do at that point? It's like, do you risk opening up the economy and people become more susceptible, or do you just say we need to save everyone, but we're also going to make lots of businesses go down, which could turn into a recession and quite possibly even something bigger than that? I
Oh,
wouldn't
it's
say
I'm fully. I don't know. Maybe it's the Alex Jones and me kicking in, but I think we're gonna enter depression mode. I think we're gonna hit some shit hard. But the thing that kind of a little epiphany moment that I just had is, do you think maybe the reason why you got exiled in the manner you did is because of probably everyone is incredibly stressed out right now because of things going on in the world?
I think with
And this just kind of added more problems onto John's plate, and he didn't want to deal with it. And like Pixie, and so Pixie was like, "I'm out," and John was like, "Oh God, our woman representation is out. That means our podcast is gonna fall apart. So I'm out too."
and John made that mention that Sunday that work was being super stressful. So I will give that to him, that like he was having a lot of problems because he was working like 6 days a week. So like, there was that going on. And then when that letter came out, which someone else gave it to me, they gave me the link for it, and I was reading through it. And I don't know what was genuine, what wasn't, or if it was entirely genuine, entirely not. Because there was a lot of things like, yeah, we known each other for 4 years, and do I just kind of abandon this friendship that and going up the ranks together, which you kind of remember because we did it all together.
We all grew together, man. We started at zero pretty much at the exact same time.
And, it's like, do I just end it and just worry about my family is kind of on the tip. And I'm just kind of thinking, well, you kind of did do that. You did do that. So, but yeah, I still haven't heard from him. Like, it's just.
What if he were to reach back out to you? Like, let's say he watches this, listens to what we have to say. He lets it think. He thinks about it for a while, and he reaches back out to you in like a couple months or whatever.
If it's a couple months, I might be more open to it. If it was like right now, or if it was within the week,
the wounds are still too fresh.
I would probably like, because I'm still. I don't know how long I'm going to be pissed off for and angry about all this stuff, and not really just the exiling from the community, because
it looks like it's like kind of like a breakup, honestly. Just like
that's
like he got dumped.
When you said that, that's kind of like that was probably the best, like, I guess, description of it. And you know what? Weirdly enough, like, I actually got more followers and more subscribers out of this. Weirdly enough, and like the subscriber train's like still going up a little bit. I think by next year, at the rate it's going, unless we pop out a really badass video, it should be on the way to like 10,000. But channel should be at like 10,000 subs by next year, which would be awesome.
Yeah,
5 digits. Like, I've been waiting for that for forever. So, but yeah, that's kind of like a good description of it, and really like just getting dropped without really any explanation besides one person. But seemed like it was like all business, and it kind of very frustrating. So yeah, I'm still pissed, and like, I think really, if Sleevers were to reach out to me, I'd probably talk to him easily. But because he's the only person right now that I have respect for, that I don't get super pissed off with. John, right now, I'm like livid. And if he were to talk to me right now and not being calmed down, I would probably just unload. and just.
I don't
go
think it would
after
be a
but-
good idea to talk to him right now anyways.
Yeah, but
I think
which
both
is
of
why-
you need time.
Which is why, like, I just like okay, just people want to reach out to me, talk about that, especially really the close people that were in on it. That it would be like wait till like June, just because it's like if not, I'm gonna pull the trigger too quick, and it's gonna be stuff that I
Say things you
probably-
don't mean,
yeah
or might be
I don't
too
know,
aggressive.
I don't know because I like being honest. It's just but it's just I think it would just be too harsh,
Mm,
and I could always say it better because it's most of the time it's how you say it, not what you say, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So I
your
think
tone goes a
once-
long way.
I think once I'm calmer, might be a better time to talk, but I still might be even then I still might be like a little agitated, like, dude, this is effed up. Like you
Could you envision just disassociating entirely like he did? Like, could you see yourself or him reaching back out to each other?
I think John possibly. Like I don't want to say I don't want to say I like because I'm still kind of like I said, I'm still pissed off, and part of me wants him to reach out down the road just to at least have some closure and just to kind of get an idea of like that. But part of me just like kind of still in shock, and part of me wants to like just like I said, unload. Part of me wants to just like have everything I have said like just stored up and just fire at him.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what to do at that point. So that's why I just want to like just work on my other projects, work on stuff with Scrawn, because I think we have a really good idea. Like he's really good at pre-production. I was telling like either Tasty or I was telling you, Nick, or I was telling both of y'all that, we're doing the summaries for the Brothers War, and Scrawn is a fantastic writer. And so I put my basic like summary up, like, okay, here's what I think of the summary. And then he just takes my sliver of crap and just like throws it back in like the most like English majored, like and fantastic.
He takes
like,
your pile of
literally-
crap and he compresses it into a diamond and gives it back to you.
Yeah, he turns it into freaking gold. I don't know how he does it, but he uses really well written out descriptions and all this stuff, and I was like, wow, this is like fantastic. Why didn't I find you like earlier?
He's all yours. He's all yours.
And then we were talking about like, well, I really don't like writing stuff down. Is there a way of like speech to text because of like the schools and stuff? The schools I used to work for, that I work for, or used to work for, we were always talking about, well, what about speech to text? Like, but it costs this much money. And he was the one that said, what about dictation? I was like, oh, what's dictation? Oh, it's in Microsoft Word. And I go into Microsoft Word and I type in dictation in the search bar, and there is a speech to text in there. And so my entire chapter 2 summary that I sent to him yesterday was all speech to text, and went in like back for like 10 minutes and like edited some stuff like the names and putting periods and backspacing some stuff or changing a word or two. And that was the easiest like writing of a script I've ever done, was speech to text. And I didn't know this existed for like years. And I found this out like 4 days ago, and it's just been the best thing ever. And I'm just thinking how much time I wasted on actually physically writing a script down, all because of a New Zealander told me that this was a thing in Microsoft Word. I thought I was a smart person until I met this man, and this man just completely no, you're an idiot, basically. not even saying that, but basically show him, yeah, you missed all this stuff. You're a dumbass.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
The word you're looking for
Yeah.
is humbling.
Yes, that. There you go. We'll go with that. Sorry, I'm so pissed. But
Oh, it's
whatever.
all good. I like Coach with a passion. It's much better than I'm gonna throw some shade towards 10th Street Hooligans because fuck it, they're not around anymore. But man, they just kind of what they did is they did their little just round table talk, and then they would ask you intermittently for like your opinion and stuff. And whenever you were done talking, they kind of didn't really seem all that interested in what you were saying. They're like, "Oh, okay, is he finished? Okay, all right, back to our kind of stuff." So I'd rather have you actually be invested in shit rather than, I don't know, have a chorus of people that are just like, "Oh, here's Coach talking again," you know.
Yeah, no. Sometimes I need me to shut up because I could go on for days. Like we're in that admin.
You're talking to the wrong two people. I mean, Kevin here is known to ramble for like 45 minutes.
Well, and that's why, like when I first talked to Kevin, and we were like describing each other, and like Kevin was the one that was like, oh "My God, we're basically the same person." And I was just like, "You're right." Like that first conversation was awesome. I found out so because I've heard of Rogue Deck Builder. I've talked to like in text and stuff, like messages. It was like, "Hey, do you want to do a Discord call?" It's like, "Sure, why not?" And it was like, "Wow, I'm actually reading." At the time, I was like, "Man, I'm meeting a super large like content creator, and this fool's just gonna talk to me like just a person." And so when that day was,
isn't it wild?
Out he was an actual person who has actual person things and likes dogs and fishes and was an ex-Mormon and all this crazy stuff and had a slight coaching background with swimming and oh my God, like I figured out so much stuff. But this man's like, this is an actual person I'm talking to, and I feel very cherished. So
it's not some MTG associate that you're trying to quote unquote conduct business with or whatever. I think that's why Kevin and I, we've known and been talking to each other since Amino days. That's how you found me, was through Amino.
I think that's how I found both of you. Well, I think I found Kevin through you actually, and then we've been kind of going back and forth like for like a little over 3.5 years. So I mean, it's been a good run so far, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna, since y'all gave me admin privileges for Rogue Deck Builder, and
you've had admin privileges for like 2 years, Coach.
And now you just someone would have told me.
We're not very communicative on that Discord very much, unless it's just shooting the shit.
Have admin, but then that bottom of the barrel gets kind of end up kicking some people off there, but we never kicked you. So
yeah, I just want to kind of figure like what I'm gonna do for the channel because Aria gave me the stuff for like writing posts and stuff, and obviously I go in there. I was like, okay, this is gonna be nope, like simple, like nope. There's just someone make this. It just like flashes before your eyes, and it's just like I don't even know where to start.
It can be a bit daunting, can't it?
Yeah, so I will figure out something to write, and I don't even know what it's going to be about, but I'm going to use this microphone right here and do that dictation that Strong was telling me about and do that, because that seems to be the easiest way to write anything nowadays, is to actually talk in the microphone.
I need to try that myself now.
Yes, it is beautiful, because like just saying your thoughts, and then you just seeing it on a screen just being typed almost perfectly. It's beautiful. Like I love it. Oh my God.
And like I mean, like we might as well take advantage of the microphones that are always recording us and the webcams that are always recording us. So
yeah, like Zach today, where he was talking about video cards, talking about it, and then he shows me his phone and it's got ads for video cards.
Mm-hmm. It's great, isn't it?
They're spying. Yeah, dude. Yep. Business decision. I guess the people that I've known for the last 3 years were not actual people, so I don't know. It's just
like I feel bad for you, because it's, I mean, that some like John's someone I consider a friend, and I'd hate to have him act that way towards me. I mean, like I still am indebted to the guy. He's the time in life where I had zero money, he hooked me up with a cheap hotel room and went out of his way to make sure I got checked in. And it's people like that have made, because I came from some pretty bleak beginnings with really pinching every penny, and the guy was incredibly friendly, and I don't know, that just sucks that it happens that way, because I just think that people don't understand what friendship is, because I'm sure if I were to look into either one of your dogmas or backgrounds or your beliefs, I'd find something I vehemently disagree with. It's not hard for me to do so. And maybe that's
Oh,
because
yeah.
I've lived in this privileged area called Central Utah where I have nothing in common with anybody here. And therefore, I've had to learn how to get along with people that I have so much differences with and find the good in that and, still make friendships that it's easy for me to, look past petty disagreements and it'll just come full circle. That's what I was telling Gathering Magic when they were on my, uh, just really on my hide about I have to put out a statement right now about, and I got to distance myself right now from Jeremy Hambley because he'll take me down with him and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, we can do this. We can go full circle. We can find someone you're associated with that's associated with someone that's associated with this person's associated with this one. And, pretty soon we'll have to damn everyone if that's the way we're going to go. But I'm not responsible for what Jeremy Hambley says. I'm not responsible for what Tasty Snackies, thank God, says. He tries to get me killed with people that are mentally
People that brandish their firearms on the internet.
can't take a joke. I thought we had this good trolling going. I thought he'd realize it. It'd be kind of riffing each other.
And then he
Holy
just kind of
cow.
snapped a little.
Whoa.
Even I don't brandish my weapons, and I own a pretty decent amount of firearms and weapons, and I still don't brandish them. I don't show the pictures of them unless it's personal, like I'm sending you a private message. Oh, look at the new 20 gauge that I bought for dove hunting, or look at the new deer rifle I bought because deer season's around the corner.
Didn't
No, I'm not a.
Tesolator what was it? I want to say it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. Didn't he say he was going to bring a firearm to a con or something like that, or he was going to fight somebody at a con?
If someone
and he
did something, yeah.
and he got
or
banned or something. I remember making videos and
I think
getting
he
all
wanted
pissy
to fight
about
someone.
that.
I don't remember if it was a firearm. I think he wanted to fight a particular individual that was giving him stuff.
And then he made
posted
a
picture
veiled
of him
thread
with a gun,
about
though.
yeah, he made veiled threats about him owning a firearm on top of hey, you want to fucking start shit with me kind of thing. So the con was yeah, you're not allowed in. And
Yeah.
that might have been a big moment from him because it seems like after that I stopped hearing controversies about him, and that was a year and a half ago.
I'm just out of sight, out of mind of the guy, and people always try to get me back in it, but because they thought it was hilarious. But whew.
We should get him on.
Oh no,
Why
Let's
not?
keep him out of my life.
Oh my god, you don't have to be in for this one. It could just be Coach
Okay.
me and him. I would like to talk to him, especially since I think I'm to date his biggest critic. My video's been privated for a year, and I think it's still probably the one with the biggest views. And he was super pissy at me for years about it. I'd love to talk with him and just shoot the shit, but he hates my guts. It's
Like I said, when you were doing that stuff with him, I was I was still watching him because, at that point he still had some decently interesting content that I watched or that I would put in the background and at least listen to while I was doing other stuff. So I was actually consuming his content for the most part, and it's just to me I don't think I really hated it. I actually didn't hate the guy. Because I was still watching him. So, and then you were criticizing him, and it was just oh, this is going to be interesting because I know.
I was just poking the bear, man. I was just having fun.
I know what stuff I know what you are capable of.
And I had no idea what he was capable of. I should.
Yeah.
I thought it was trolling too. I thought it was just all an act.
And-
This is pretty fun.
Nope. God.
Oh. Yeah.
Well, you're not dead now. That's the important thing. And if and if COVID does take you out, we at least have on the internet a suspect of whoever murdered you if COVID didn't take you out. If we ever find you with a knife in your chest outside of your store one night, I know his real name, but I'm not going to say it. I almost did. I know his real name, and I have the phone number to his business, and I know it works because I've called it once as a random stranger trying to ask for a service because he owns a computer repair service. This was almost 2 years ago, though, so I don't know if it's still true or not, but I have ways of getting in contact with him.
He knows how to he knows people that knows people. That's what he's trying to get at.
Yeah, man, all those Bitcoin mine connections there.
Connections.
So, as someone who's been kind of in and out of Magic since late 2017, I have to say, and as someone who's complained a lot about the power creep in Magic for the past year and a half, I love Ikoria. In terms of power creep and just them embracing, just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks and what's absolutely fucking horrific. I love every single thing about it, dude. It's got me excited.
My personal favorite card. I played a little bit of Arena before I played some more Knights of the Old Republic because I want to replay that game. Was that freaking Shark Tornado? And so
Good card.
Yeah, and I did the Azorius stuff. So I put a lot of, I put 4 Gideons, 3 Narsets, 4 Teferis, and a whole bunch of counter spells. And I didn't know how many times I've won just off either 2 or 3 Sharknadoes, just either on the field or just getting 1/6/6 because I played another Shark Tornado enchantment. And it's just stupid how powerful that card is. And, that is by far my favorite card in Ikoria, besides the counter card that also has cycling.
That one is pretty sweet.
Those are the only 2 Ikoria cards I added to my stuff and traded out. And my deck apparently was significantly better because now more options have opened up. Just the playbook has just expanded so much. So I think and it's just so much fun. We have one thing out and we're just gonna counterspell. Oh, there's a 2/2. Oh, we're just gonna play another count. Oh, there's another 2/2. Now you got 2/2 flyers that are gonna bash your face. Oh wait, here's those stupid lands from War of the Spark that are 3/3s, and you already have 3 planeswalkers out. Oh, they only cost 1. And before you know it, you're swinging for 14 and all kinds of stuff the next turn. It's stupid, but it's hilarious. And I hope I don't run into anyone that's doing the same strategy as I'm doing because that would suck.
Yeah, that Sharknado card is pretty sweet, but the ones that got my attention the most were probably the more janky ones, and I can't remember the name of it exactly, but it's the one that has the Mecha Godzilla as the promo art, just the one that has the keyword salad on it. And it just, I don't know, I like it when things just get pushed to the extreme because I feel like I'm at a point in my life where I just don't fucking care anymore. I don't play tournament Magic anymore. My main squeeze is Pauper. And so whenever I see wild broken shit being printed like companions, and my biggest problem with the set was Lutri and how they knew exactly what they were doing with Lutri, and I'm pretty sure they were already well aware of the fact that they were gonna have to pre-ban Lutri, if not ban immediately, considering the stipulations behind it and the design and compared to every other companion card in the set. It just kind of seems like Wizards has been listening to all of us say, hey, you guys have been pushing way too hard since Kaladesh block, and they're just we don't fucking care. Fuck you. What are you going to do about it? Kevin, what do you think?
Ikoria sucks.
Yeah.
Such a horribly designed, awful set. They keep surprising me at how bad they can design. Playtest all needs to be fired. Every one of them needs to be canned because they can't do their job. And obviously, this is 3 sets in a row. They've let glaring problems slip through, which should have been caught, which people have broken on day 0. And yeah, I don't really blame the design as much because I think it's not design's job to balance cards. That's play design's job. It's their job to take the card and be no, you can't do this. And they have just actually some of the cards they got pushed through was because they made them better because they thought they were not good.
Well, you got to think at a certain point with them pushing cards to the extreme so often, how much of it is accidental and how much of it is intentional.
Well, they definitely want to sell sets, and they realize that push cards sell sets. But I mean, it's one of those catch-22s. If you keep doing this, you'll have the power creep to the point where you have an Urza Saga problem, and you have to reset everything, and then you have to have some bad selling sets for a long time, or people getting upset about crap cards. But the problem with so much pushed is we have so many answers that must be answered that it doesn't feel like Magic to me anymore. It just feels more. Keeps getting more solitaire, rather than my still favorite way to play Magic. Well, Pauper's one of them because I think it's a tit for tat type um, format. But I just like to even just play with repacks, just jank or not even jank, just terrible cards because it forces games to actually be played out and to actually outplay your opponent. And it ends up being a resource management game, not just a wombo combo game, which is exactly, I mean, putting in board game perspective, be like Terraform Mars versus Blood Rage. You probably don't know the
Nope.
Blood Rage is just the most trash game ever. It's just wombo combo. Who can assemble the dumbest wombo combos? And then they just run away. Whereas Terraform Mars is way more nuanced. You have to really set up. And the most important thing is to make sure you're the person to hit these little goals that happen. And they only happen to the first person that does them. So it's like, okay, I could go for this, or I can make sure that and so it's just about outmaneuvering, in my opinion. And Magic, that's how I like to play it. When we keep getting cards that are just cards, that they just get pushed in any deck possible because it's like, oh, this is clearly better. I would play this, but Hydroid Krasis and Euro just a better way to play Magic than anything else.
Why would you ever play the Mind Sculptor when Oko's a thing? Kind of.
That is what these companions. I don't know how the hell they got through design without being like, yeah, this breaks Legacy completely. Yeah, this breaks Modern. Luris is the first card.
Luris, yeah.
Well, it's either that or the. Oh man, I can't think of the name now.
Garuda.
They have two names. Yeah, is it Garuda? Yeah, from Legacy.
So the 6-drop.
Lionside Diamond turn 1, and yeah, it kind of folds ish to Force of Will, and but I mean that doesn't stop. Either you have the Force of Will or you die. That's this is the type of, and then I think in later iterations, people are just going to bring in like Thought Seizes or Duresses, so they can rip it out and then still be fine because you can safely mold a 3 with that. With the new London Mulligan rule, all you need is a LED, Ancient Tomb, or City of Traders, and then one other mana producing source. So it's pretty easy odds to get there, and then you're going to go off on turn 1. So I mean, these sort of things are just, yeah. Luris though, Luris is the big banned one. It's forcing everyone to play it. I mean, Burns playing Luris. There's no point not to.
I was playing against a black-white Aristocrats deck it was black-red Aristocrats on Arena last night, and I didn't even pay attention that they had a Luris, and I thought I was grinding them out to perfection, and then they slammed down a Luris, and it was I couldn't recover. Like the second I saw it and realized what was going on, and I was just like, okay, that's
every deck's gonna have to run Grafdigger's Cage from now on, in my opinion, and then all that's gonna happen is Luris decks are gonna start putting in the artifact destruction so they can get their engine going again. It's just, and typically I like these value city cards, but not when they're so and so easy just to put in. I mean, all roads lead to Luris right now. Or I mean, look at like Jeskai Fires, where they're adding the other companion because why not? Everything in your deck is converted mana cost 3 or higher, so just chuck it in, and it gives you a free draw spell. So you basically have a free 5/4 and a free extra card in your hand every time with that trash card called Fires of Invention, which never should have been printed. That's my issue. They keep messing with the curve. They keep doing alternate mana costs, and they keep pushing threats and not pushing answers. And they still have it in their mind that people don't like answers, because we did have a time period with Drago, which a lot of people get annoyed, myself included, about Drago Magic. For those that aren't familiar with the term, it's just counter everything, kill everything. So Drago, and then you try to do something, I'll counter kill. Drago, I'll cast Approach the Second Sons twice and win. That's, Drago type of Magic. I don't like that style either. There needs to be a balance, but the pendulum has now swung so far to one side that now they're forced to print these answers that are now just going to answer everything. And so it's, I don't know. I think that maybe it's because I'm too much of a tournament player. That's why I went off on Commander in the Discord, and people didn't get why I'm so anti-Commander now. And it's just because it's hard to play Magic any other way than what the official way to play Magic is. So if I'm playing Commander in any sort of settings, it's just you're going to have the people that are going to tune it to perfection. If I go and play on Arena, you're going to have people that are going to tune stuff to perfection. The stupid hidden matchmaking rating is ridiculous in Arena, because even if I go in the casual queues, it's going to pair me up against someone that, is. I always see these screenshots on Twitter of these two people playing these jank decks against each other. I'm like, man, that'd be nice. But no, I grinded a mythic twice, so I'm screwed for life.
Oh man, I don't think I think I maybe grinded to gold one season, and I'm still able to in the casual queues. If I notice with the matchmaking, if I choose a deck with like really bad cards in it, and the majority are pretty bad, I'll usually get paired up against someone half decent. Or if I'll like play, I don't know, blue green flash for example, I'll usually get paired up with someone. If they're not playing a tiered deck, they'll be playing like a casual deck that can actually hold their own. And it's so fucking apparent that the skill based matchmaking is a thing in Arena, because considering the player base, if I fire up a game in the casual queues with like something like red green flash or mono red burn or something, and I'm sitting there in the casual queues waiting for like nearly 2 minutes, obviously it's not that the game can't find anybody, it's that the game can't match me with anybody. And it really kind of ruins that experience for me. That and the land drawing system in there has been fucking broken since day
just
one.
play best of two, because it fixes it a lot better in best of two. Best of one's a joke.
Oh,
Tries to
really?
give you two landers every game. No matter how many lands you have in your deck, it tries to give you two landers.
Yeah.
And then that's what I've noticed too with cards like that are off cards, like Embercleave, for example, is only 6 drop in your entire deck. It gives those at a higher rating than you normally would get those type of cards, because it's trying to find you a curve. It even admitted in their algorithm that it's trying to give you the most possible like mana to be casted over 5 turns. So it's going to give you a nice spread and a nice curve. So what does that enable? A lot of draw go decks and mono red aggro type strategies. So mid range really suffers on Arena because it doesn't want to give you the right type of stuff for mid range.
It really does. It feels like you're getting just shat out every single time. Like if like I just gave up trying to play Beast Whisper on Arena entirely, because I was like, this card's cool and all, but it's not good enough for Arena and how Arena plays. Like either in was particularly in Best of One, but it just feels like you have to be playing very specific decks in Best of One. But then again, I don't really ever play Best of Two. Maybe I should just play Best of Two on there. But Arena wants you to play Best of One.
Yeah, I mean it's not best of three is not terrible. It's
Or best
you
of
still
three,
find you still find games and stuff. So that's how I got to Mythic. Then the 2 times that I
Yeah,
got
and if
top 100 Mythic.
and if you win those games, you go up 4 ranks in the ladder and not 2 ranks, right?
Well, it depends. If you're silver, yeah.
Oh,
Because once you're gold, you're only going up 1, going
oh, right.
up 1, down 1.
Okay.
So yeah. So it's very easy to get to gold, because you only have to have like a 33% win percentage, and eventually you can get there just by and then gold's a 50-50, but I mean it's actually a little more geared towards you can have a lower than 50-50 if you hit the tiki marks correctly. It's because you won't drop like a gold 4 to a silver. You'll just stay there, so you can lose all those matches till you get the tikis up. And then anyway, basically you if you have a 50% win record, you can grind a Mythic. Once you're at Mythic, though, that's when it gets to a true like ladder system. So, but
What's your relationship with Arena, Coach?
Like, so the closest I've gotten out of gold once, and that was like maybe when Arena was first starting. But I like to play a lot of. I'm a kind of a big control player. When I started Magic just in all, it was during Concept Tarkir, which, Siege Rhino was a thing, but I actually didn't play Siege Rhino. I didn't know what like the meta. I didn't know what meta was. I didn't know what like. I was just trying to like figure stuff out. And so one thing that I was started off with was mono white before I switched over to look at these warriors. Like they have some like synergy going on. They like play off of each other. And so
I remember this.
For the longest time, I was playing Black White Warriors.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
Game store, like the closest I got was like the best I've done was like 4-1, and got like some packs and all that. And then I got like addicted to like that kind of synergy or like tribal or all that. And then doing like more research and seeing all the winning decks, like top 8 decks from like the past, it seems like blue white seems to be like have the best combination, but that's also more or less skewed because of all the artifact based decks and all like oh my gosh, so it's like Callblade and all like the Mirrodin stuff going on, and whereas all like the artifact lands. I mean, blue and white was the best for those, so that skewed those color schemes that way. But um, I base it off those, and that's what I've been playing ever since. And I'll sometimes play like either Jeskai or I'll play like maybe some Abzan every now and then. But like blue white's been kind of my thing. I've been a big thing of a control player. And right now I'm at silver. I like just started back up like 2 days ago, just playing some games like some best of one, some best of threes. But I'm not really heavily invested like some people are. Like I just like I like reading about the stories of Magic. I really like um looking into like the old histories or like the set histories and like how builds were and how like the designs were, and like when Kevin was talking about like power creeps and all the levels and stuff, I like to like look back at those sets and see like how like the averages were, like how many of like 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drops, like the big cards and all that, and just kind of how like the mathematical process was. But if I wanted to kill time, which was what I was doing this morning, when the plumbers were here, like working on my stuff, I would play like maybe like 6 or 7 games of Arena, just killing time, and with like an hour and a half maybe. And so, that's when I found out Sharknado was like a badass card. I was like, oh, maybe I should add one of these. And then before you know it, I had 4 copies in my deck, and it was just like I was winning a whole bunch because it was like I would get the first one out, and then I would do a couple counter spells, and then I get another Sharknado and like put it on, and it's like you get a 6/6 flying shark for the first one, and then after everything just like doubles. Like it's stupid, and it was freaking hilarious. And now I might have to play Arena. I might have to try to find more time to kill. So yeah, that's been my experience with Arena so far, is just blue white, and sometimes like Abzan or whatever the hell I could come up with, because I get bored sometimes.
That's one of my biggest, kind of to go back to what you were saying earlier, Kevin, complaining about Wizards of the Coast and their constant appeal to sell packs. It reminded me of something when you were bringing up Sharknado, is that do you think Wizards of the Coast is trying to market to the 3 demographics too strongly all at the same time? To the Johnny, the Timmies, and the Spikes? Because that's what it's, particularly in Ikoria, it feels like. It feels like everything is just kind of turned up to 11. Like, we're going to give you the biggest, most badass stuff. We're going to give you the most combo-ish shit. And then we're also going to give you, like, Lurus and everything else.
I think Ikoria was more of a Johnny set than anything. And Timmy Johnny. But I think that it's like missed the mark. Because you have to be very careful with Johnny cards. Because if you push Johnny cards too much, they'll break formats. Mm-hmm. Johnnies need to be, by definition, their cards need to be worse because they're going to try to break them. Mm-hmm. And it can't be easy for them to do so. Otherwise, it's going to be, like I said, too powerful. So there is, in this set, if you actually look at it more, I don't know, we got some of the best control cards as far as Heartless Act. And the 3 mana cycling counter spells, I think exactly what a cancel wants. I mean, they've tried so many iterations. They put Surveil on it. They put, gaining 3 life. They've put
Scry.
So many things. And I think that cycling is the right, like, that's a good mix. I'm glad they put it on common too, and not at rare, because the big money grab would put it at rare, like they usually do with these sorts of things. I think that this set though was just. It was, like you said, they're just going to go balls to the wall, just like, we're not even going to try to throw caution to the wind here, and then you get Lurus, which is just a mistake because they didn't realize. I think they wanted these companions to be good. They wanted them to be played, but the problem is when you get a free card, they should have made these free cards trash because they're free. They're not part of your opening hand. They just take a sideboard slot. That's not that big of a deal. So everything should have cost 1 more. I don't know if people would be complaining as much about Lurus if it was 4 mana. It'd still be, I don't know, it'd still be pretty busted. But it's just, all of these, I think they needed a lot more play testing with. The biggest issue I'm having with many of these cards, they're not in that grade of cards, like the Winota, for example. But if
That's a
you
red white one,
don't,
right?
yeah, if you don't answer it though, you're screwed. You lose. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of Wizards or Magic going in that direction. These must answer, or these, like, we all thought Aetherworks Marvel was cheese. It's the spin the wheel. It's pulling down that slot machine and be like, okay, do the stars align here? And
Mm-hmm.
I got a 40% chance of hitting, and if I hit, I win. If I don't, then at least I get a value thing. That's a lot of these cards feel like. It's like, yeah, if I hit my perfect scenario, which actually isn't that bad of odds, 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 2 or something like that, the odds of whatever it is to hit the Agent of Treachery, then I just flat out win. And if I miss, it doesn't seem like back in the day, Johnny cards, if you tried to go your wombo combo and you just missed, you lose. This one,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, wombo combo, Aetherworks Marvel, spin the wheel. Oh, I didn't hit perfectly, but still good value. And
Mm-hmm.
this set just looks just riddled with this crap.
Do you think that's Wizards trying to keep the casual players in the game longer rather than let, like how you were saying earlier, the Johnny decks of days past were more glass cannony, and if it fell apart, they feel bad and probably not come back to F&M because they feel embarrassed. Whereas today,
eh,
they'll be like, I can do it again next
I don't
time.
think Johnnies really care about that as much if they lose. They just like to go out in a blazing glory in at least one game. They're happy going 1-4 as long as they got
Mm.
the one time. But I think the biggest issue
But just
is
just that casual appeal in general. Do you think they're trying too hard to get the every person in to watch these YouTube trailers that they put a lot of fucking money into and everything, and not really focus on the players
it
who
could
actually
it
stick
could be.
around?
I guess wombo combos are more exciting for stream views for sure, for Twitch views.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I think they're a mistake. I think that Magic, and maybe this is just showing my bias, is the long, grindy, skill intensive uh, games, in my opinion, are the most fun. I mean, people would say what they want about like even energy mirrors, but at
That's
least
why I
those
like
had a
playing
lot of
Pauper.
yeah. Well, Popper's a good one. Those are some incredibly grindy, and you have to do things, sequence things in the right. It feels like I can control my destiny a lot better in Popper than I can in Standard, and that's why I swore off Modern. And I used to be known for one of the big Modern brewers, and then when I rage quit Modern, I mean I cold turkeyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And people always beg me, go back to Modern, go back to Modern. We miss your stuff. Why? So I can watch my opponent solitaire all day long. And I don't like playing Magic that way. I like being able to react and outplay and whatnot. It's a skill game. So, eh.
That's yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Especially nowadays with Commander. Kind of going back to what you were saying way earlier in the podcast, it just Commander feels too homogenous, and everyone's just kind of trying to play the most efficient way possible. Everyone's playing like the same group of like 400 or 500 cards,
Mm-hmm.
and the era is different than when it was when I first played Commander back in 2012. Whenever the most recent Plane Chase came out, I think that was 2012. Because I remember I bought all 5 decks, and that's what I made my first Commander deck out of. It was Maelstrom Wanderer, and I just shoved a whole bunch of random shit in it, and I had a blast. And it just feels like over the years, the as the more appeal to Magic and the more mainstream it's become, and the more ingrained internet information and net decking and everything and content creation has all just kind of grown together, something as casual and fun as Commander just kind of became like by the numbers bullshit,
Yeah, paint by
really.
the numbers. Well, the problem is they sold pre kits that were paint by the numbers. It
Yeah.
told you exactly how to do this. It's like all the
Every deck
roads led
has a
to,
soul ring.
and even if they didn't include the broken cards in the deck, they were obvious inclusions. And so it
Mhm.
took away the beauty of Commander, in my opinion, which is kind of finding the right cards and the right numbers and having your own little pet cards and twists. I used to use a lot of these pet cards. Can't even think of any of off the top of my head right now, but that no one had seen before. Some old card from Odyssey or something
People
And
still
then,
give me weird looks when I bust out a Mind Shrieker in the late game. They're like, "What is that?" And they read it and they see how much mana I have, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, yeah, that's right."
and that's what's so beautiful. If Magic were to balance things properly, is it would have options where
Mm-hmm.
something wouldn't necessarily be better. That Hydroid Krasis wouldn't be just strictly better than every creature in the type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like every set they have to print a Questing Beast or an Embercleave or something that is going to be the obvious thing that is going to define the format. And if you actually read back at some of the play design's philosophies, they actually want that. They want these format defining cards. And I'm like, why? Why don't you let the Wild Wild West happen where people can figure it out? And that just requires like proper balancing.
Do you feel? Do you think it's kind of always been that way though? Like even back in Magic's early days, like in Alpha Beta,
Yeah, but
the dream cards were like Shivan Dragon and Sarah Angel, right?
Sarah
well,
Angel was
kind of. Well, people just didn't know what the hell they were doing. Because if you actually go back and build revised decks in this day and age, only using like those type of cards, the deck lists look totally different than what people were coming up with back then. We were all bad back then,
Yeah.
and so
well,
it took a while to figure it out.
like Sarah's Angel, like you see the Zach Dolan deck, and it was like Sarah Angel was like the card because it was a 4/4 vigilance, and you had all the Moxen and all these dual lands coming out, and by like turn 2, maybe even 3, you had a Sarah Angel, and you already had stuff that like just locked your opponent out, and Sarah Angel would just hit like a few times, and you won the game. So Sarah Angel for like a little bit was like powerful.
Yeah,
And
it
now
didn't
you
tap,
just
and that was key to the locks.
yeah, and you just now you get Sarah Angel, and it's like, or a Shivan Dragon, and it's like,
A joke.
oh, you get it in every like core set. But Sarah Angel was like a thing that was like going on, and
Sarah Angel doesn't compare to Hydroid Krasis.
no, absolutely not. Like it, because even if like the problem like I had was like with that stupid card was like, oh, here's a giant creature. Oh, I'm gonna counter. Oh wait, but since they cast it, you get
Still get to
half-life
draw all
and
the
half card.
cards.
You still get like benefits from it. It's like that's stupid. Like how? Like that. Oh.
Oh, and by the way, I have a dual caster mage in my sideboard that I can cast at any time I want. Now in my standard decks.
Yeah. Well, that at least that companion's pretty hard to build around because it makes you play.
Because you got to play singleton, right?
Yeah, singleton. But I mean, some of the other ones, it's a joke. You can just chuck them in with very little downside, and it just. Oh, I have to cut 1 or 2 cards to throw this in. I mean, that's some of these decks in Modern. Like, look at Jund now. Jund just cut Liliana's. Like, oh, look, everything in my deck was already below converted mana cost 3. So I guess, instead of going Bloodbraid Elf and Liliana, let's just go, Ren and 6 and Tarmogoyf and I guess we're going back to Death Shadow, and then there's Luris, and then we have this way to.
Are they gonna play that 1 in hybrid Golgari mythic from the set? The one that everyone's hyping up is like, oh, it's the new Tarmogoyf or whatever.
Oh, the 2-mana Golgari one that allows you to
Yeah.
go search for stuff? I don't know. It's got an activated ability that's a little bit tough to. In my opinion, it's very restrictive. I think it's one of the cards that's overrated at the moment. It definitely will find a place, but it's not. I don't know.
Do you think that's a bit more of a fair push to design compared to
Well,
the
the
other
thing
cards?
is, it's still going to break a lot of combo decks because I think the deck it's going into right now the most is just like the Vizier combo because it's another way to tutor stuff up, and find those 2-piece combos quite easily.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with that card over some of the stuff. The companion was just not a good idea. Maybe they should have said you couldn't have a sideboard or something. I don't know. Just some sort of huge restriction on. They shouldn't just look at Luris. It's good enough just to slot in your deck, and I think that's what they wanted. So that they needed to make the restrictions worse. Then, if they wanted a card that you could include in your 60 and still justify including in there, then it needed to have some major restrictions on how it could be your companion.
And that also compromises deck construction as well because, if you have if you have a if you're running any deck with an ideal legendary in it, that's like you're not your main game plan. Like you're not trying to get one of your 4 Lilianas out. Most of the time you're running like between 1 to 3 of that legendary. Most of the time 2 on average. So let's say like Lurus in this situation. Instead of having to run 2 Lurus in your main board, you just have 1 in your main and then 1 at access to all times in your sideboard. So now that frees up a slot in your main board, and it kind of breaks it in that way as well, compared to like other decks that you're building with the companions. That's something else that kind of also bothers me, that as well, because it kind of it helps you get around that to where you're essentially building a 61 card deck when like I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense.
Well, the biggest issue is 8 versus 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's you start with. I mean, how bad is it to mulligan to 6?
It's like having a commander in a standard game or a modern game.
Yeah. And it's that huge card disadvantage right there. It's you are always playing against an opponent who's mulliganed if they don't play a companion.
Mm.
So they needed better restrictions for these to put them in their companion. Maybe they needed to have you mulligan to 6. That would have been good.
Ooh,
Rather than your starting hand is 6 for all the companions. And that could have fixed it. It's just all these things that should have been hammered out before they released these stupid things. Because, like you're saying, it's Dualcaster Mage on a card. You could just put it in your deck, and it's still justified to put in your deck. Same thing with Lurus. But where people are cutting Mayhem Devils because they're like, I can either have access to this card that I want to cast every game and cut the literal best card in my deck, which is, all of those decks were really centered around Mayhem Devil. It was the premier card. And then they figured out having an 8-card hand is better than putting their signature card in the.
And now that frees up 4 more slots in their main deck to put in whatever or.
Yeah, to make it even more streamlined to breaking Lurus. And that's the people you can't even kill Lurus because let's get it back with the stupid 3-mana spell that, brings it back from the graveyard. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can include non-creature permanents or non-permanents. So instant sorceries can be whatever cost you want them to be. So, yeah, Lurus hasn't even seen the end of people bossing it. I have an idea for speak of the Devil Hydra, Krasis, and Voracious Hydra. Those are X spells that are converted mana cost 2. So actually, I can curve pretty high with stuff if I want to because they'll scale.
How far do both of you think this can keep going? Like, obviously, when we've seen before, when the game gets pushed too high, when you
have to reset.
When you have your Mirrodins, you have your Kamigawas. When you have your Kaladesh's, you have your Ixalans. Do you think that's going to continue here with this? Do you think there's going to be a snapback and there's going to be some bad sets in the future, or do you think they're just going to keep pushing it and pushing it? Because it seems like they've been pushing for like the past.
They always reset though.
Years.
I mean, we're actually not coming off a terrible power. Like I've complained. The thing is, I'm always in the here and now where it's like, the grass is always greener. So if you're looking at me 2 years ago, I was probably bitching about the same stuff. That's power creep. That's all they had to make this. I mean, yeah, Ixalan was a joke. That was a power reset from Kaladesh. Down there they had the Amonkhet, Hour Devastation, Ixalan. Those are a big power reset. So I think another power reset's probably in the future. But those are times that you have people like Alpha Investments to talk about. Those are make or break for some of people in the industry. That Amonkhet through Ixalan killed stores because they just couldn't sell product. And when it's in an industry where you need to be pushing out sales, you can't you need capital that's moving. You can't just have a couple bad sets in a row. So I don't know, but they'll kill their game if they keep going this route. It can't be, producing.
Yeah. How many times can that bubble keep bursting without terrible diminishing returns? Right? Like, how many times can you keep making things so powerful and bringing in attention of the casuals, but pushing away a lot of the more ingrained player base, and then just do it over and over and over again to the point where let's say we're going to have this conversation like 10 years ago from now, like would even Arena still be like a relevant thing? Probably not. Or maybe, I mean, CSGO has been around for a decade. LoL's been around for over a decade. So
MTGO's been around for
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they could, if they wanted to, sustain it. But do you think, what do you think Wizards would need to do to sustain it that long and also still kind of maintain this constant power creep, or not necessarily power creep, but designs to keep the longer term players interested while also keeping in the newer players, because that's this weird dichotomy that they've been kind of building around since the inception of the game. And it's just interesting watching other games handle it, like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh, but those games have their formats comprised differently than Magic's is. Like Yu-Gi-Oh is vintage. That's all Yu-Gi-Oh is, and that's
Yep.
why they constantly just they just constantly bring out new powerful shit all the time that knocks out all the old stuff, because who cares? It's vintage. Like everyone's going to be playing with all their old cards regardless. You can't do that in Magic. You can't do that when sets are rotating out every 2 years and your $30 Carnage Tyrants turn into $7 within 6 months or whatever.
Well, I think that's what makes Magic so successful is their ability to, have fresh new. I mean, if we were still having to deal with cards like Torrential Gearhulk in the mix, then we would have never been able to play this other card.
Mm.
I mean, that's what people are complaining about mono red, but I bet if you put a mono red against Hazret red, that this Embercleave red probably wouldn't even hold a candle to Hazret red. And so people kind of forget the power level of stuff in the past based upon the stuff now.
Hazret
so
Red
actually,
was pretty wild with like random map ruins and everything. And,
yeah,
oh
it's
god,
turned
that
forward and very
was
consistent. I mean, Embercleave is more cheese. Embercleave is have it win, don't have it kind of struggle. I mean, there's a couple cards in it but it's definitely not as streamlined as Hazret Red was. Or even if you go and even beyond that with some of the red deck wins, even pre Hazret, those were pretty streamlined. It's always been. I don't know. It's but I think the Magic, for as much as I complain about the game, it's still at its worst is better than most games at their best. So
yeah, yeah, that is true. I mean, like I first started playing in Kamigawa, which is at the time kind of was a gigantic exodus of players because they couldn't really stand it, and it was also after the massive bannings of like Ravager and Vault Whisper and all the lands and all that. But
yeah,
like
the whole thing
even
with that
even
too.
when the game was at its lowest, it still managed to capture me and pull me in because the game is so deep that even at its worst, it's still good.
I think some of the lulls in Magic had less to do with Magic and more to do with other cultural things that are going on. Because you bring in Kamigawa, wasn't that about World of Warcraft time?
Yeah, 2003, 2004.
And then everyone just switched their focus on stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
there definitely is some bump like in Magic, but usually it's when Magic tries to force issues is when they end up disenfranchising people.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually think that it has less to do with cards they're putting out because it's very very tough to replicate Magic, and people complain about lands and like what would a game be without lands? Well, if you take away the variance of card games, then it's incredibly easy to break them. Incredibly. I mean, that's the problem I have with MTG Arena, is when they force those two lands, that they're giving you this set, like you're gonna get these cards at this time. Then it's pretty easy to find that perfect mix of stuff that's going to work better in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
So chaos is a good thing for variance is a good thing for games, and so in as much as I hate being mana screwed or mana flooded, um, and if the more ways they can actually bring to mitigate that is pretty good. But like Scry and becoming evergreen and these other things they've been able to add to the mix, those are good things for the game. However, I think that it's going to be very tough to replicate a card game. Um, there are so many ripoffs of Magic now.
I
I
think
put them all that are just
Pokemon would be
ripoffs.
one of them.
well, yeah,
I mean,
they were made by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, and that's like has so many similarities. It's just
Game is trash.
crazy. And then
The game's
like
great. It's essentially every
That
deck.
game is trash.
Every
The game
deck is a
so
storm
bad.
deck. It's
Oh,
great.
It was.
Or-
See, that
or then
Pokemon's
you-
awful.
Or then you look at like you were saying Yu-Gi-Oh, and there's no like mana at all, no sort of land land management or resource management, and you could just have turn 1, turn 2 decks that just Here you go. That if you want to see playing
You don't
solitaire,
even need turn 1. You could just do turn 0 if your opponent
Yep.
does the right thing. It's just like, oh, you activated this trigger. Here, let me dump out my entire hand. Oh, and you die by effect damage
here
on your
is
turn.
Exodia. If you want to see solitaire, you go play Yu-Gi-Oh for like
Go
a
watch
couple,
my
couple
Exodia
days.
video on my YouTube channel. Like, there's like a 15-minute video of me fast forwarding through like a dozen Exodia games where I win on turn 1 every single time.
Do you know why we quit carrying Yu-Gi-Oh?
Why?
Because Zach and I were so sick of everyone coming in and explaining us how cool their deck was. You thought Magic players are annoying? They have nothing on Yu-Gi-Oh players. And how many times I don't care. No, I got to show you this little. Oh, I don't play the game. I don't want to play the game. Maybe I shouldn't be so. Maybe I'm in the wrong career because I mean, owning a local game store is somewhat like owning a bar for people that have very very low social skills. And man, there's some great interactions, and I've seen some kids blossom, and I've been almost a parental figure to some of them. Like one of my best experiences was getting a letter when one of them graduated about how this was basically his, his spot that he, felt accepted and safe and type stuff. I mean, and we get those. We always have one rotating. There's always some kid that we take under our wing and whatnot. And that's very fulfilling. And that's the same thing I got at coaching too. For all the bad apples, there's always like one good apple that made it worthwhile. But man, oh man, are there days that I want to take a hammer to my head.
That's every coach in America. But you see, for the most part, you see like, it's, while winning and stuff and trying to keep jobs, especially in this state, is like important for like football careers. The biggest thing that I always see is, those kids growing up under our watch, and some of them don't have like dads or older brothers to like look up to. So this is kind of like that pseudo family that you can like, you basically you're entrusted with the lives of hundreds of young men that come into your program. And like, if like, a lot of times we're like the only masculine figures in their lives, especially if they have, most of our teachers are female. Like we might be the only like male figures that they have.
So sad if I'm their role model. Oh boy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I said. Like if I'm your teacher, like you're giving compliments to me, like, man, you're in the wrong business. Because I'll like, especially in government, I'll just make them critically think, and all the beliefs that they held by their parents are going to get like dismantled super quickly. No matter if you're left or right, I will dismantle and make you think about stuff like as best I can. But
those are the best teachers, though.
But
the best teachers humble you and cause you to think about things. Like, I mean, shit. Let's say I'm a 17-year-old kid and I go to Kevin's shop and I never knew who he was. Probably from the outside looking in, it's like, wow, this guy, he's hanging out, he owns his own business, and he gets to hang out and does what he loves. And he knows what he talks about. He runs a successful YouTube channel and all this stuff. That's a role model for a lot of young kids. Like, it may not seem like it, but it really is, because a lot of these kids, I guess I'm speaking from experience, like, I'm part of this generation where we're all directionless. We don't know what the fuck to do. We grew up in the age of the internet and being told that we're all special, only come to realize that once we came into our adult age in the '08 recession, that we ain't shit, and that the world sucks, and I didn't really have that strong of a father figure in my life, so it makes sense. Like when you're speaking from both of your experiences, having some form of a stable male figure, something to look up to, is extremely valuable.
Yeah, like my dad would my parents are still together, so they've been going on for like 31 years of a marriage, but my dad worked in Houston for like most of my life, and so I would see him I wouldn't see him that much. So like the coaching staff I had at Cal Allen was like, especially our defensive coordinator, my D line coach especially, who was also my powerlifting coach, and would always Like, they were my track, powerlifting, and football coaches, those two. And I've learned so much just by being around them, not just about football, but like basically like everything. And if I needed to talk to, them about certain situations or like growing up or like just anything, those are the two guys that like I went to.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like, I still talk to, my defense coordinator, I still talk to because he's still at the school that, he's still working at that same school I went to. And then my other coach, he's like a DC at some big 6A school in, like I think in the Houston area. I mean, he's doing very well and making a crap ton of money just coaching defense. So it's stupid. But those were guys that like I looked up to. So now I'm kind of seeing like the kids that I have. It's like the same thing that they do towards all of us. That have some place of solitude and a place where they could feel safe and be comfortable, just being themselves. So that's the big, yeah. Does it have like its bad times? Yeah, of course. Just like any job or any career that you have. But if you could see all the good that comes out of it, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth putting that time, putting that effort in just to make sure those kids grow up and be, to the best of your ability, to be like the best people they can be, to be good fathers, good husbands, good sons, and good members of the community. That's all we're trying to do. Like the winning and losing doesn't matter. Our job is,
It feels like the winning and losing are tools to help what you're actually trying to teach the kids.
Yeah. But the most important thing is to make sure that we succeed by we feel like we're accomplished when they grow up, get out of here, and go be productive members of society. That's how we tell we have won that we've won that war, is like, have we positively influenced these kids to go do right? So I mean, that's, and the kid, and some of the kids know about the Magic Channel. They always give me crap for it, but I'd rather them stay at home watching my stuff than, let's say, going to a party and like doing drugs and doing stupid stuff. Like, that's always the thing I could go back to. If they're watching my stuff at home, good, because they're not doing anything freaking dumb that could get them harmed and get them killed or kill somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always something I could fall back on. But yes, the nerdiness is well known, and apparently I'm some sort of tech or computer genius compared to some of the coaches, because I'm like OBS, for instance. I was showing my defensive coordinator OBS, and because he wanted to do like we want to go digital for the scouting reports, and he was showing me like, oh, on Zoom you could do this, and the video was like super glitchy and stuff. I was like, hold on. Yes, but I was like, hold on, let me try this out. And so OBS, well, I really haven't had any experience with OBS, but I just looked at it and kind of picked up some stuff from YouTube, like 10-15 minutes. And being that it was free, play with the screen recorder, put myself in the corner and all that. And I went through Huddle. I went through like our film and stuff through the Huddle website that all of our game films on, and brought up like different tabs in the computer and showed like a drawing app and a playmaker and like just all kinds of different stuff. And like just something as simple as OBS with high quality images, a screen recorder, and capturing sound too, and then having a dedicated mic, they were just blown away by something that's been around for like 5 years and has been there for free.
Oh, OBS has been free and around for like 10-15 years.
Well, it's the best of my, okay, so even longer than that. And it just, I know this technology was like there. I've just never played around with it. I just know what people were capable of, and I just, doing through those little 10-15 minute tutorials, just showing these guys like, oh, this is what we could do, and they were just absolutely like blown away. So like, one of the benefits, and I always give them crap for this, is like, oh, everyone wants to make fun of the YouTuber and the Magic player until it comes to something like this, and then everyone's like asking for help with tech or with their laptop or with like, oh, how do you screen capture something? It's stupid. Like, I've learned much from my YouTube career that transfer over to football, that's become, to me and to most of the people on there, that's become a valuable resource. Because everyone's looking to me to ask the tech questions. And I'm not even that computer savvy. I just know some programs that were free to use and that everyone uses. Everyone's been using in the gamer and Magic and like YouTube situations that people have been using it for years. And now the coaching staff's figuring it out because we're always 10, 15 years behind. And it just amazes them. It's so funny to look at because, like, how long has this been around? It was like, 5-ish years, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you don't even they don't even have to be kids in order to teach them, man. Like, that's one thing that I've kind of just come to realize over the years is just how valuable and fulfilling it is to just be humbled enough to have someone ask you for your help or to ask someone else for their help. Like, nothing really helps to kill the ego more than realize that you don't know anything.
Yep.
And that you're not as much of an expert as you thought you were, and how you need to reach out to pretty much everybody for something at least. And it wasn't until recently that I just kind of realized that. And now it's like almost inverse. I feel like almost like this weird moral obligation to kind of share what I know rather than, wait for someone to ask me, or if they do, just feel entitled, like, well, are you going to pay me? Or, whatever. It's just kind of like, nah, man, I'd rather just help people out at this point, because it feels good bringing other people up in general. I say this really after we spend an hour talking shit about John, but whatever, fuck him. But, yeah.
But that's also an honesty component. Like, that kind of, we could always go back to John next week, and we could always go back to the THS and what all that stuff has been turned around. Because if people find out about this, I'm pretty sure we're going to get questions, and I bet now they'll see he was always with Kevin, and Kevin we know is with Hambly, and Hambly the core. Yeah, he's
confirmed white supremacist.
Confirmed edgelord.
Most of my kids are Hispanic. I've been teaching Hispanic kids for forever. Like, the last school I was at, like, the kids joked around. They were like, "Oh, hey dad, what you doing, dad?" It was like all the Hispanic kids. And then come to find out from the girls that I coached, I was like, "Man, why do they call me dad?" It's like, "You mean you don't know?" I was like, "No, I don't." It's like, "Oh, this coach over here, your defensive end, like, his dad's in prison." I was like, "Oh." So now I feel terrible. And then it's like, "Oh, these kids don't have a dad, or their dad's really their uncle, or like they're foster children, or they're adopted." It's just like, so they kind of call you dad to make fun of you, but they also kind of call you dad because they have, like, really no
in
one
an
else.
endearing way.
Yeah, now it's like, oh, I feel so terrible now, and it's just.
You guys want to come to my pre-release?
Yeah, when you're hosting it.
It just got canceled, so we just read about it. So Ikoria is now canceled, everyone.
Dirty.
Yay.
The pre-release is now canceled. Zach just showed me a message, so.
You weren't hosting anyone in the shop, were you, before?
They actually suggested we host it on Discord. How's that even work, Zach?
How the fuck do you host it on Discord?
No, I don't know exactly. I think we're actually just supposed to, like, keep track of people that buy a pre-release kit, and that will count for our numbers, because it's just such a dumb numbers game with the WPN and how they allow you to buy products, and it's just so strife with people faking numbers. It makes sense business wise to
as someone
so stupid.
As someone who's on the ground and runs an LGS, if this COVID thing, let's say it sticks around and everyone is forced to stay inside for 6 more months, how's it looking for you?
I'll be fine, because I don't run a quote-unquote legit business. I run a legit business as far as legit business is concerned, but not what you would consider. We don't need the store for our livelihood. We're two single guys with have a very different outlook on life than your vast majority of people. Mm-hmm. I'm probably in dire straits if I get into a medical emergency. I'm not referencing your hernia, Zach. Jeez, he's over there. Shut up. But I mean, I'm probably in pretty dire straits if something catastrophic would happen, because I don't have a ton of savings. and whatnot. But we're both in a position where our overhead for our own lives are really, really low, and overhead for our business is insanely low. That even if I were to use this as a storage unit, it'd be worth it. So, so it's not like our business is going to crumble because we're locked down for 6 months.
What about the
legit
average
ones with legit employees where they need to be paying employees and employee wages and have like utilities and rent that is actually on like a commercial area, like a heavily populated area? Yeah, they are screwed. I don't think that most game stores have, and this can go back. One of these days we'll have to talk about this entire conversation, because this is where I find Magic the Gathering players the most annoying, is when they don't understand overhead, they don't understand the cost of products and kind of the margins that you need to succeed. Where all these whiners want us to work on 5 to 10% margins, which we have been doing. And guess what? No one has savings now because of it. You want your $100 booster boxes? Well, you get stores that can't survive for a month if they can't keep pushing out $100 booster boxes. So, none of them have savings. There will be a huge collapse I've predicted about 50% of stores will go under. Our main street has already had 2 stores across the street from us close. The big department store that's been around for generations, is closing.
Oh, wow.
And it's coronavirus is going to kill it. The thing is, though, after all the dust settles, there will be a need. Then eventually it'll make opportunity. I mean, I don't like to kind of have the vulture. Here's a carcass for a vulture to succeed type stuff. But this is it inevitably will happen. Like society will rebound.
Yeah, that's evolution, man. That's mulch. That's what happens. That's how new life begins, is from the ashes of the dead.
People put their heart and souls into these game stores, and I definitely feel for them. And I don't know. I wish most of the best. Like, did you see the Magic Gathering response to the guy that was staying open? And oh man, it's your usual suspects that were retweeting and so.
Wait,
anyway,
so
the whole
explain it. What is this?
Okay, so there's a guy in Florida, in Tampa Bay, that was still doing curbside deliveries, and Tampa Bay told him he couldn't do it, and so he got multiple complaints that he was still operating business. I guess he was allowing customers to come in and out of his store too, and he was still selling stuff.
This was a local game store.
And they finally gave him basically told him he had to desist doing this. He couldn't, or he had to completely stop his operations. They're under lockdown, and he told him no. And I guess he was poking the bear. He's like, I'm doing it anyway.
And this was the state of Florida
about it, in Tampa Bay.
Okay.
And so he finally got arrested and got a mugshot, and they actually put his mugshot on Twitter, and whatnot. And he's very unapologetic for it. He's one of those people that is, and I tend to agree, that you start taking away these things. Should be suggestions. They shouldn't be orders. I don't think it's constitutional for states to enforce lockdowns. You can try nicely to ask, and hopefully society will comply. But at what point is it, totalitarianism or an overstep to where you're forcing people? We all were shocked at people in Wuhan getting welded into their houses, but how far off are we actually from that? And or thrown into boxes and stuff like that. We're not too far off from the hysteria for this particular stuff. And I'm not going to be one of those that's going to go and congregate to do stupid things to give an FU to the government. But at the same time, I think that there's is something applaudable to a guy that's trying to stay open as much as he can, to make his business survive. And man, the Magic community on Twitter, at least the loud vocal ones, the ones that are usually there, tweeting away, we're basically saying F this guy. I hope he loses WPN over this, and he's putting the entire state of Florida at risk. No, they're not. This entire if you go and read the Swedish epidemiologist report, there is no stopping this thing. None. There's no chance that we're stopping it. So we have a couple of strategies.
We caught it way too late in the first place.
Yeah. We can reduce the curve if you believe that reducing the rate is actually helpful or hurtful. Sweden actually thinks it's going to be hurtful because if you delay the inevitable, if you delay the herd immunity, that means you just have to deal with it for 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah, it's gonna hit way harder in the wintertime.
And there's also not that much evidence that hospitals being overwhelmed is actually reducing, or not being overwhelmed is reducing the death rate. It actually seems to be that this virus is killing first world. It seems like the more medical treatment, the worse for it. I mean, I could go on and on about. I mean, I guess as a side the point before I get way too political and everyone cancels me for my my libertarian views on stuff I have very little faith in science now after all this crap where we've misstepped this virus on every step, and not because of inaction, because of overaction on stuff. Like now, reports coming out the ventilators are the worst thing you could do. It's like breathing just gasoline on a fire type stuff, and just everyone was so wrong. All these people that were supposed to be experts, that we were supposed to look for guidance, were so wrong on all these different stuff. And take the quarantine. Now we have essential businesses open where people are just bored out of their minds. You go to my local area, everyone is at the supermarket. Everyone's there because they're bored and they have nothing better to do but hoard and shop and panic about stuff. Yep. And so we've just funneled everyone into a point of infection. And it's just, I don't know. But back to this guy. He's trying to save his livelihood. At what point is your livelihood worth lives? I mean, that's no one wants to put on the adult pants and realize that there's more to living than living. I mean, living is the whole point. If you have to, this person has maybe put decades into this. At what point is it worth risking your life for?
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the people who are on Twitter chastising this guy. Like, what else is he supposed to do? Is he supposed to risk, going hungry?
Well, I get it. He has been a bit in your face, and he does have that whole, the definitely more conservative, or at least people being blamed of being conservative, of like, I'm not gonna, but I don't think he was downplaying it. And according to him, he was following all of the guidelines.
Yeah, he just didn't want
open.
Yeah, he just didn't want his liberties stripped from him.
Yeah, well, and people like I was looking at it for the small business loans are a joke. They're very exploitative. The ones I was looking for in my state were like 3.25 because I don't have payroll. So if I wanted to get a loan just to hold me over, then I would have to take out a 3.25 loan. When the government's giving them at negative 0.75 to the banks are making huge money off of that. It's just ridiculous at that point to where, there are things that are available, but it's still not a good. Like with one of my issues with my game store is I was in such a I had momentum on my side. I was growing week after week, month after month, and this whole pandemic put an end to the growth, and it feels like it sent me back about a year of where I was before.
Really?
Which sucks. But I don't know. Some of these stores, if they can actually
at least you're in a state of recovery.
Gymnastics here. What I've been noticing about the stimulus is people in our demographic are not the brightest, so they're spending it on crap they don't need, and we've seen a huge influx of Magic purchases. We had some guys, I want to call them kids, but they're definitely not kids, they're adults, came in and spent their entire stimulus package on Commander cards. So we got a nice little injection of money here from that.
Wow.
But we're like, they both work at like Walmart. I mean, they don't have stable incomes and stuff like that.
They just got an extra $1,200 put in their pocket.
Yeah, they went buying like expensive crap, like the most unnecessary stuff, like Guy's Cradle type stuff.
Well, shoot, we put our we got a $2,400 between me and Grace. We got $2,400, and we paid off Grace's car to take away a $300 like monthly payment. So now we've, while we basically wasted that stimulus check on getting a bill out of the way, now we freed up some income to now we could direct that toward either my student loans or to like the AC that we had to replace last year. So, it was nice to get that, but I'm just thinking like, I've always thought of myself as too liberal for my state and my school, but also too conservative for the Magic community. I'm one of those fence sitters.
Same thing.
And being on a really nice wall, looking at both sides before making the decision. But it's just, you know, when you tell people on the right this is Republican funded socialism, like they don't want to believe it. It's like this is a large dosage of socialism. You do realize this, right? And it's like, oh, it's from President Trump, and it's like it's supposed to be right, but it's still socialism, the very thing you're supposed to hate. Or do you not really know what socialism is? This is like
It's tribalism. Doesn't
it
matter who does it as long as our guy, hashtag
yeah,
our guy, then
and
it's fine. Then it's
it's just like it's like, do you not have like formidable beliefs or like concrete beliefs anymore? Because if not, you just say it, and you'll at least be granted some honesty points. But it's just like like you said, if it's our guy, then it's correct, even if it is socialism and we don't want the government controlling our funds. But we like free $1,200. We like free
yeah.
money, but that's socialism, and it's just people just don't get it. And then it's like the meme where it's like it's the guy like
Well,
panicking.
I think it is the tribalism, the inherent tribalism itself that makes people so repulsed at those ideas and like so offended at the suggestion of, hey, thanks for the 1,200 Trump bucks. Now guess what? Now you support socialism. What the fuck? No, we don't. Because for the past 5 years, 10 years, ever since 12 years, ever since Obama became president, there's just been like this growing, seething hatred towards communism. I mean, it's always kind of been there since like World War II, right? But like
Yes.
it seems like it's just grown exponentially ever since Obama became president, and then like Bernie Sanders ran in 2016, and now even more so. And like it doesn't even seem like the people who are arguing for and against it don't even really know what they're fighting for or against at this point. It just seems like that they're yelling topical word salads at each other.
Well, and that's how this whole issue with this guy was. They wanted to turn this local game store because it's one of them. It's Magic. We expect better for the Magic community that they take this stuff seriously. And then hashtag Florida, type stuff. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything about? Yeah, it's just this. I'm so sick of the Magic community turning up their nose against everything, every other anything that doesn't fit in their perfect little mold. And I guess the buck does stop with Wizards because they're the one that drew the line in the sand. They're the one that took the position. They're the one that wanted to turn their company into an activist company to begin with when they shouldn't have. There's no point for a company to take political leanings. But it's not political leanings, it's human rights. I love when they say this.
That's my favorite one. It's just it's rights.
And that's how I got kind of pushed into this like I said before. I made the whole call out to the going full circle. It's back to the beginning of this podcast. So before I called out the two biggest gatekeepers in the community for gatekeeping, I was already on the naughty list for some of my leanings, which aren't even conservative leanings. They were just, in my opinion, sensible. Where after the 10th Women in Magic article, you think we've kind of gone a little too far with this crap, where especially when they get criticized for it, that it's oh, you're just a bad person that doesn't want women to play Magic. No, we're sick of the exploitation. These people know what they're doing. They know what they're trying to get clicks. They're playing the game. I can see right through it. I don't know why the rest of people can't see right through it. Mm-hmm. And all those things, in my opinion, are valid, open criticisms. But nope, they can't have any of that sort of stuff because we've drawn a line in the sand.
The thing is, it's like, do you want true equality? Because if you want true equality, you're gonna get criticism, or like positive comments, criticism, like any other person. But I think it's become more or less like special pleading, or like just like they're like women are trying to be seen as more special, to where it entices like more of the male people to follow them, to more males to like follow them, because you're talking about a game where, let's face it, they have some dudes that, let's say, are not really like handsome as we are, and so like following these women Magic players is like kind of like, I guess, fulfilling a void that they can't do otherwise in themselves or in like their own lives, until maybe they've realize what they're doing later on or until they grow up. But it's just like I feel like they're putting women on a higher pedestal to attract more attention. And really, if to me, it's like it should be equaled out. Like if you're going to be on this, if you want equality, I mean, it's the good and the bad and the ugly. Like that's true equality is where we're getting all the same type of stuff.
True equality is not caring about if you're making someone uncomfortable or not. Really,
this was not too long ago in the Mythic Championship that just like. I don't want to go down too far this road because it just ends with a can of worms with people taking stuff out of context and whatnot. But
who cares?
People were so like, we gotta get representations. We gotta get these special invites. So they give a special invite to a person who's unqualified, and they get completely destroyed.
Was that?
And then
Estefan?
they complain about getting the special invite. Okay, now what do you want? Do you want your opponent to start at 5 cards, or like what is it? Where you got the special invite, and now you're mad at Wizards for giving the special invite because you're obviously not qualified enough to compete, and you get completely crushed, and now they're the bad guy for making you look bad.
Which one was the one that complained?
It wasn't too long ago, one of the Mythic Championships, where they 0-3 got out or something, got just crushed. Again, I've just been so out of the community. I always say this, like when I was talking about Coach, now you guys have dragged me back in. But I was like, I'm so glad I'm out of the Magic community because I've stayed off of social media. I've stayed off of drama on YouTube and things like that. I'm so glad that I just went and did my own thing because I'm so sick and tired of all the whining, all the people that are looking for villains wherever they can find bad guys. And it's something with this generation where there are no real Nazis to fight, so they have to create Nazis.
What's that saying? Hard times create strong men. Strong men create strong men create weak times.
Yeah,
strong men. Or wait, no. Weak times create strong men. Strong men create strong times. Strong times create weak men.
Yeah,
I think that, and then it just cycles.
Historical cycle, yeah.
But I don't know. So going back to the store owner though, is the same thing. What is their end game with shaming this guy? What do they want him to do?
Yeah, what's the purpose?
At least would they have a little bit of empathy or sympathy rather than hope this guy dies and loses his store because he had the audacity to try to not die and not lose his store. What do they want from him?
It's like they want they want their cake and eat it too, and they want to feel good about it, but they're the only ones that can criticize, and nobody should backtalk them. They're the hive mind.
Well, I think they want to be these people to drop dead, and that's the difference between me and them. I do not wish any ill fate on the people that I can't stand. Who's the person I can't stand the most in the Magic community? Is Ilion still in the Magic community? I'm
going to look that up right now.
Or AJ Sacker. He was another one that was early on, one of my, like, trying to get me canceled and stuff like that. I don't want them to go broke and starve in a gutter somewhere. I don't want, I don't wish the worst of ills on them and their family, but you can't say the same thing with I mean, just go back to the coach's example. They want coach gone, obliterated, destroyed, never successful ever again, cut all ties type stuff rather than, that's how I feel about it.
Kind of like referring back to what you were saying with your letter from Slivers. What was it that he said exactly? Like he said, like, I hope that you can recover from this.
Recover from what?
Recover from what exactly?
I think he said in my personal message that I hope your channel doesn't tank. And the weird thing is, it got like a 4 or 5% bump, and then like I had like a net of 60 followers, like with the whole Reddit situation. So, and apparently, like the way it's going, I think we should be hitting 8,000 subs, probably in about. What I would say, maybe a conservative estimate, maybe 3 weeks, we should be at 8,000. Then from there, hopefully next year we'll be at 10,000. But no, I really haven't taken a hit. If anything, the complete opposite effect happened. But the thing that I was more worried about, besides the cease and desist, was that the people that I spent like 2.5, 3 years with, who I thought I would basically call friends, basically just ghosted me, broke up, whatever you want to call it. that's what hurt more is basically this was a giant waste of time helping other people out and not even getting as really, for really the important person, not even really getting a direct contact with just like anything. It had to take like other people to kind of just make sure I was okay. And that was disappointing overall.
So, from your experience that you've gone through recently, let's say like whoever's watching this and has gotten to this point is thinking about like making content, or they're already in the midst of making content. They got a few hundred subscribers and they got some friends or whatever, and they do a podcast. What would be your piece of advice to them? Like, not even if they're doing Magic. Let's say, like, I don't know, like they like RC cars, so they make a channel based off of like RC car tech or whatever, and they get themselves ingrained in a community. What would your advice be to them so that way they don't fall into the same trap that you did?
I'm not sure because it's like I feel like this community is a little bit a lot of people in this community are a little bit more toxic, and not even the majority. I think a very strong minority with the loud voices is really poisoning, you know, poisoning the community, because most people like that I've talked to like didn't, they either saw it as a misstep or a mistake, or they just didn't care because they don't care about that much the drama. But it's like the bell curve. It's like those small extreme ends with the loudest voices and with the most pull. People like to talk about how bad Jeremy's side is, but let's be real. Like, I think the people who are supporting, like Tolarian and his followers and people are outspoken. Like, a few of them are like worse than like some of Jeremy's people or some of the people that follow like Hambly. I mean,
because they want you to die in a gutter.
Yeah,
they literally do.
It's just like some of the things that they say is just, it's just over the top. Is like no actual person in real life would say that to like most people would not say that to a person to their face. It's just not. But but people hide behind a screen or a keyboard, and sometimes they're not the person who they think they are. And me, it's like I want to just, if I had anything to say to a person who's entering community, hell, be yourself. Like, be honest. Now that might get you like kicked out really fast, but at least it gives you some identity. It gives you something that goes against the grain, and at least you're not gonna like try to appease. Like, you're not gonna try to appease. Don't try to appease anyone, because the higher ups don't, unless they're like your close friends or people that have been really vested into you from the get-go, or whenever they entered into your lives, those higher ups that you're trying to impress probably do not care. So the best thing I would say is be yourself and be honest to this community, because if not, it's just going to wear you down. It's just going to make you miserable.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. That's for sure. It'll eventually come out that, like, again, you'll have a misstep. You can't be expected to be perfect.
Nobody's expected to be perfect. But if you're the side of like Tolarian, or not even just Tolarian, just the side that just opposes the quartering, it's just like they always have to find. They have to. If you're an up and comer, you have to be perfect. Otherwise, they will find the mistakes and they will just kill it.
Yeah, they get off on that. They get off on tearing people down. People like Manalik and yeah, that's who they are. Well, here's a hypothetical I have to, not a hypo. Here's a hot take. How do you think that your how do I put this? Your associates are feeling that you haven't been completely crushed. Your channel doesn't exist, or like that's the thing I like. Do you think that they're pissed right now that you're going on with life?
You know what? What I say that I was telling Nick this.
I don't think they are, but
no, I don't. I really don't think they care, to be honest. But in my mind, if I didn't think of this, and I told one of y'all this. I can't remember who. Maybe I've told y'all both, but I kind of now see this as a competition, and this is coming from my sports background where I came up with this, is that if this is now a competition between everyone else that I was ex-associates with, if this is a competition between us, not only am I winning, but I'm so pissed. I'm going to be pissed for the next like few weeks or hopefully the few months to get some good content out that I would just don't want to win. I want to run up the score as much as possible. I want to run it up as much as I can and just
That's what you want to do. You want to dominate. Yeah. You want to be like the Chiefs.
Yeah, I don't understand the reference, but
if you watch the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship, you'd know.
So, like, it's a football. It's a sports reference. Like, anything that keeps score, people see it as like as a no if you run up the score. So like the Miami during the 80s, they were known for running up the score, like beating the crap out of
just being sore winners. Just destroying.
They would beat people like 55-7 or 63-0, and people would just, who are on the opposing side, they won and they just dominated, but they ran up the score, and so they don't like them as much. They're good players, but they scored 9 touchdowns on us. And you know what? Like, in sports, you kind of want to, like, if you're up ahead by a good amount, you want to generally run down the time. But at this point in time, there's a few coaches that will, if they hate someone, they will run up and try to score as much as they can. And that's the same thing I want to do right now.
That's how you feel?
Yes, that's how I feel right now, is that I'm not only am I winning in this little subscriber viewer war, I'm going to be like working my butt off to like make sure that
they can't ever,
they don't even not even recover, that they don't even come close.
Mm-hmm.
If that's a message I want to put out, like
the closest one to you has 1/7 of the followers that you have. 1/7.
Man, I need that fire. What happened to me? Well, I mean, with me, that's ended me like changing business models, and I lost my sponsorship. That was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it forced me to look elsewhere.
Yeah, your fire changed, and you became a lot more self-sufficient.
Yeah. Well, my YouTube channel's crap now, and I've lost. But the whole thing is, I was able to find my own niche, my own success somewhere else, which is something I actually enjoy more.
Yeah, actually, you have a strong Patreon.
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, the Discord is hopping. Mm-hmm. And I've met a lot. I know most of my patrons very personally, and I mean it's become a community, which is a lot more fulfilling than a lot of the time on the community I was able to create on YouTube. I do miss it though. I kind of miss building up channels and stuff. Who knows? I need that fire. Somebody's to cancel me again.
You can't get re-canceled. That's the thing. At least that's what I've noticed. If you get canceled and you manage to come back up, you're invulnerable. Because what are they going to do? Like, unless you do something that like gets you sent to jail, you're golden.
Or something legit. That's why they get these little things that don't matter.
Mm-hmm. At this point, like you, Coach, you got canceled over something so insignificant that saying that like 5 years from now, let's say you have a 80, 90, 100,000, 250,000 subscriber channel, right?
Oh, that would be awesome. I would never have to work again.
Let's say that happens, and then a little bit more controversy comes your way. Like, unless it's like literal career ending, you can't really get destroyed. If PewDiePie can say the N-word on YouTube in front of millions of people and be the center of controversy for 3 years after the fact, and still also be the dominant force of entertainment on the internet, that just kind of shows that canceling is not a thing. It just really isn't.
Well, back to another question that kind of irked me is that how does it make you feel that your compatriots took them exiling you and then tried to spin it like they were the victims?
Oh, you mean that image that John totally didn't doctor with the fake comments?
the fake people that came on and had to. Well, the whole thing just seemed like it was so orchestrated. that it was like, oh man, look at all this hate we're getting for having Coach be a part of us, like being associated. And I've tried to cut ties, and I throw my friend completely under a bridge and stomped on him, and made it very public that we've disassociated ourselves with him, and we lost our sponsorship that we asked to lose. Because I've done my due diligence and actually reached out to their sponsors and asked them if they were nope, 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 nope. So I don't know. To me, that's just that's the worst thing. It's getting late, so now my mouth's running and I'm probably gonna make enemies and stuff like that. But that to me was the slimiest, weaseliest thing possible that could have happened is to try to turn it. If you make an active decision to let someone go or to distance yourself from them, I mean, that's one thing. And maybe you can sleep at night. Maybe you can live with that. Maybe there's business decisions. But then to turn around and try to be the victim in all of it is just beyond. I don't know.
You should go talk to my ex about that, because I would love to tell her about that right now.
Oh, that's breakup 101s. Trust me.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. She dumped me.
Of...
She dumped me, and then kind of left me in the dark. And afterwards, after I moved on and found someone else,
Well,
right after she did, she was like, "Oh my god, my ex was just the worst." It's
Can't
like,
believe
fuck you.
So you talked about that doctored the hate comments and stuff. I actually replied back to that. I was like, look, if you're gonna hate John, you could direct all your attention towards me. And so I don't know how many people actually view that tweet, but I guess they had me on mute.
Oh,
Where nobody replied to me, and I didn't get a single bit of hate mail, with the exception of maybe an offshoot comment on the MTG timeline, which I replied. Yeah,
fake.
It was either.
It wasn't even on an MTG video though, wasn't it? Just regular video of where he reviews the.
It was okay. So his comment that John posted about was for, I guess, the film Hooligans with.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with anything. Bull. So, I'm calling BS on that. I have the best BS meter.
And at the same time, Pixie,
and maybe even if he wasn't in on it, it was still someone else that wanted to make sure that there was some sort of justification.
Yeah, yeah. And then I was going through Pixie's channel, looking at it at around the same time. Cause I think it was at the same time you and I, Coach, were talking. What was it last week? And I was looking through her videos. And it was very specific ones. I think it was the ones with the Zuby and maybe a couple others were just dislike bombed to hell. Yeah. And there was like maybe one negative comment that had like 4 or 5 likes, and she was having like a comment war with her about it. And I looked through most of her other videos, and there's like no dislike bombs on like anything, even for her terrible fucking skit videos. No dislike bombs or anything. And it just so happened to be like in this very coincidental time frame, and with these coincidental associations. So that just kind of adds another piece to it all, on top of like it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. But the other thing that I wanted to bring up that I forgot until just now was you posted an apology.
Yes, which then I took down at the advice of a couple people actually. And it was actually...
So, what was the intention of posting the apology?
Just, that I didn't clarify and I misstepped. But, I was seeking advice with strategists at the time. And it seemed like JJ has a very good, like, PR mind. And so I've talked to JJ every now and then. He actually has family... he actually has family members not too far from me, actually. In the place I work, his family's actually within like a 5-10 mile radius. So, when we talked, he was like, oh, yeah, I know the school you work at and all that. It's like blah, 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 and all the area. But he was kind of someone I trusted and was like, yeah, maybe this is something formal you can do. And that way, if people don't find it, they could see the pin and they could at least direct you to it. But when I started looking at it after like the 8 or 10 hours that I had it up, like barely anyone saw it. So, which means to tell me that either people are not paying attention to it, or people have already made up their minds, or people just don't care. So talking to some other people, which included actually either one or both of y'all actually was like the
I told
recommendation
you to take it
So,
down
yeah,
as soon as
so
possible.
yeah, and that's what I did. And then I think Kenobi was the one that was like, oh, because I told him about the apology. I was like, oh, I can't find it. And I took it down, which led to the rest of the conversation, which was the same one that said, I hope you shouldn't get condemned for it. And going on, I hope, I wish you good fortune, or I wish like good luck in the future and all that. It ended on a really good note. That was the same conversation basically. But yeah, I took it down and kind of thinking about it. And then I told strategist about it, and he was like, well, because I think he was kind of like looking at it like maybe it was, he probably thought it was a good idea at the time, but now seeing how the feedback is, maybe it wasn't. So, which, it's like even the people I ask, like they don't have all the answers, which is fine. That I could take, that I
Mm-hmm.
could totally handle, because if you make a mistake and admit to it, that's fine. Like you're at least trying, you're at least attempting. And so what he came back to say was like, well, if you took it down, it's like, I guess that's good as anything. Okay, that's fine. But I did post an apology, and which prompted Slivers to send me some more replies, getting back to my messages. And kind of think about it, maybe that was the dumbest thing I've did, was actually post the apology, because like, yeah, I misspoke and stuff, but at the same time, it's like,
You're giving them
honest,
the power that they wanted out of the
yeah,
situation.
that was the time, and I'll admit to this, like I really don't care. It's like where I tried to appease to get some recognition, and that was the wrong way to go about it. And that was, I always talk about honesty, and it was like, man, that wasn't me that like, was trying to, I guess that wasn't me when trying to reach out to people and talking about like, should I do an apology or not? And then like after talking to like the rest of the community personally, it's just like, I gotta
When
get back to
when
like, I gotta get, it's like I got derailed for a second, and then some of the community members like got me back on, like you guys got me back on. And so I think I lost my way for like a couple days, because it's like, oh, I got some backlash and I didn't know how to handle it. And now I'm thinking that was dumb. I just got to be me, and I have to really enforce the whole honesty thing. I really have to enforce what I believe in, because nobody else, like if nobody else has got to be honest to other people, we have to at least be honest to ourselves. And that, I'll admit, like for those couple days, like I wasn't being me.
mm,
So, and it was just hard. It was frustrating to like go through all that, but then not being back to how I started, and how I like not even obtaining my beliefs like the entire way, but now I need to like really preach on it and really keep following that, because if not, then I'm just if I don't follow my beliefs of being honest with people and trying to be as true to myself as possible, then I'm just going to be as bad as one side or the other that's like fighting over these like controversies. Like someone has to be honest, or at least do the best that they can.
mm,
You have to at least be like, give it an effort, and be trustworthy in some way. Otherwise, it's like we fall into the same pits and we're no better than anyone else. So if it comes down to where, I don't get any favoritism from like the Tolarian side or favoritism from the coring side, then I really just kind of want to, I either want to forge my path like the way I want to see it, and try to build a successful model through YouTube by myself, or I want to do it with people that have the same ideals, the same like goals, or the same support, a very genuine support.
mm.
Like, so like creating a third path, like the Brothers War, like creating a third path where we don't like one side or the other. We're going to make our own path. That's kind of how I would make an MTG reference, is we're going to forge a third path to be successful. And if we don't, like if I don't become successful, or we don't become successful off of this, because it is kind of a goal for me to like make it big one day. But if I don't, I'm okay with it, because I've learned so many things along the way. I've learned so many things about technology and programming and what we could do with like our careers. and I've came into contact with so many people and friends over, over the internet, and having like debates and making myself sharper, and I'm making a little bit of money off of it. But if I don't ever make it big, I'm fine with that. But at least I want to do it as best as I can, the way I want to do it, or with people that share that. And so, I got derailed for a little bit during all that stuff, and I want to get
You got back on really quick. Like
yeah,
it doesn't, at least from our side, from my side, it doesn't seem like you got too dejected or thrown off the rails too hard. You still seem focused. You still have that fire. I mean, you're working on projects like a madman. And I mean, shit, you're here with me and Kevin after I came up with the idea, because that honestly, that the whole kind of situation unfolding and watching two people that I kind of grew up on YouTube with kind of fall apart, and getting so mad at one of them kind of really helped light a fire under my ass. I've been pretty directionless in terms of not just magic content creation, but general content creation. I mean, I'm still a bit directionless. I don't really know exactly what it is that I want to do, but I know now that there definitely is something. And that's such a weird, like, strange thing, like, especially when content creation isn't your job, right? You're not waking up every morning thinking, what am I going to do to make my video that's over 10 minutes and I can get my ad revenue for YouTube, We're not thinking the same things that people like Command Zone or Tolarian Community College or Alpha Investments or fucking MTG Goldfish. We're not thinking the same things they are. We're just thinking about, like, what's best for me.
yeah.
And
I don't know. Most heartbreaking thing about this, though, like touching on what you said, is like I would rather never ever be successful in this entire YouTube magic career if I had to throw my friends under the bus. Like,
Or lose your
to me, that's the
or even
that's
just
just
lose
the
your
worst.
identity, lose like who you are.
Yeah. Yep. And maybe that's why I'll never will be successful. But I mean, that's why I feel for you the most, is these guys. That was a long time and a lot of investment you put in people, not in a project, in people, and made relationships. And this is what I can tell you two scrubs. There are very, very few things. I mean, you can tomorrow pledge your allegiance to wherever you can make whatever tweet you want of whatever enemy I have, and I'm not gonna get rid of you, Tasty.
oh, thank
Oh,
you.
the stupid crap you've said over the years. I should have erased you like
I'm a
10
factory
times
of
over.
I'm a factory
Jeez.
of terrible takes,
What a
man.
liability you are.
All I have
My
are
career has
horrible
been
opinions.
completely hampered because of keeping you around.
I have that
But
effect. I'm quite
I don't know.
toxic.
That's life for me. Life is more than just. I mean, that's success. Success is being able to surround yourself with people that you can call friends and people you can actually like. That's what I can take away from this. People always ask, how can you stand being in Richfield with? Because I have very few friends here in Richfield. I still have lots of friends throughout my adventures in life, though. When I lived in Salt Lake, when I lived in Bountiful, Warren, all these Utah towns. I'm name dropping here. But I have legit, real friends that I've met on the internet that are just as close as any of my personal friends. And like I was stating before, I'm sure we have some major differences when it comes to ideology and belief and whatnot. But I feel like I've been able to make these particular friendships that are as strong as any bond in the real life, and it would take way more than name dropping MTG headquarters and wow, that's an old reference. MTG headquarters, Unsleeved Media, Jeremy or Voldemort. Let's call him Voldemort. We're saying that to destroy an entire friendship or even a project over that matter. So I don't know. That's the heartbreaking thing that I've taken away from this, because again, some of these guys I thought I was pretty friendly with, but I obviously not. Obviously, it's all superficial, and that's not friendship to me. Friendship is being there for people at their at their worst, not their best.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, with that, I gotta call it quits. So I gotta get some
For sure.
Where are we
stuff
at?
going.
Oh wow, we are at 2 hours and 38 minutes. Yeah, dude, we've been going off. This is like Joe Rogan levels of
I know.
in depthness.
Maybe
That's great though. I love it, man. I love
we'll have to
when
get
we can
Scron in here.
actually
Maybe it'll
just
take
talk.
7 hours to get off one sentence from Scron. You enjoy that, Coach.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
I love Scron. He's one of my internet BFFs too. So, and all the people
Brilliant
that
writer.
our favorite little Kiwi.
stick around, Coach. I'm not going to throw you under the bus. Tasty might, but I can't talk for Tasty.
I'm
But,
too lazy to throw anyone under
Yeah.
the bus. And besides, I can't do that anyways. I don't have the absolute absence of integrity in my soul to throw my friends underneath the
Well,
bus.
that's it. Everyone won't even forgive me for too, because that was the whole state that I was in with Jeremy. Is like, this is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we got to becoming friends was pretty rocky. I hated the guy. You can go back to some of my videos of where I hated the guy. In fact, that's how me and Wedge and Clarion became friends. It's our mutual hatred for Jeremy. Was what our little binding was. And then when that kind of depleted, we found out we've had very little in common after that. But it's it was my unwillingness to defriend a friend because of his supposedly crossing lines. Like, again, I didn't agree with how he did it. He doesn't even agree with how he did it these days and age. It's his latest video he put out saying, yeah, I was way too strong and I was way too personal and I crossed lines. But there's no way, no how that I'm going to choose a sponsorship over, being there for a friend. And, who knows, maybe that will come back and, karma will come back in the future. And
I'd rather
that
have
ends up being the better decision.
one good friend than 100,000 YouTube subscribers.
Yeah,
Any
I
day of
know.
the week. Now that I've had taste of success. I've had videos that have cracked the 6-figure mark, and I know what it's like. I can say safely that I'd rather have a good support system than internet clout any day of the week. Because it's not that it's pointless, it's that it's very fleeting, right? Look throughout internet content creation history. Can you tell me where Strong Bad is? Like, do you, like, half the people that are even listening, do you even know what Strong Bad emails are? Right?
Yep.
Do you know Fred from the old YouTube days? Do you
Epic
know
Meals
what he's
Times? What about
Epic?
them?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Ray William Johnson.
What
Does he
ab-
still own Facebook somehow though?
he's big
He's
on
still doing good
Facebook.
there.
Yeah, but like that's the thing. Like, and a lot of these people, if you even remember, they've had their issues of internet troubles and controversies, and like their friends leaving them and stuff. And it's just like, at the end of the day, like it doesn't matter. Like 30 years from now, when we're all gonna be in our like 50s and 60s, do you think, like, even if the internet is still a thing, even then, like, do you think like John is ever gonna look back on like this event and like, or you, like,
I don't know.
like you, Greg, like, do you even think like you would be able to like look back on this other than like a moment of growth? Because that's what I see this as. I see this, instead of a setback, like this is a significant opportunity to overcome, if anything.
And that's what I want to take it as. That's why I'm like I need to use this time that I'm like enraged to like make something productive, because that's what's giving me the energy. So hopefully this, the project with Scrawn, or at least pre-production with the summaries are gonna go pretty well. Now, I mean, we're gonna be taking our time with this, and it's really it's really gonna come down to my effort, but because I'm hitting some wags with like trying to balance all the schoolwork in the morning and trying to get like some dictation going on with like some summaries. But I think it can be done. Like I've done it to where like there's spurts of energy just randomly that I'll knock out like 5 audiobook chapters editing or recording or whatnot in like a single day. And then there's some days I just don't want to do anything. I just want to play League of Legends all day.
Oh, why'd you have to bring up League of Legends?
Excuse me.
I already brought it up earlier.
Yeah, but
Such a bad game.
It is.
Just play
yeah.
Dota. Come on.
you might convince me otherwise, but yeah, like I need to, you know, because I've been needing to find motivation after the audiobooks, and now I think I've got it. I want to kind of think, you know, this next week or so, I want to figure out some more stuff to do, and I also want to do at least one article for like the website and just kind of. I don't even know what the
Take
what
the whole website over.
I don't
Ugh.
even know like what the article would be about. I want to do something about math, but there's like so many interests I have. It's like multi-class and then D&D gone crazy. So I have so many
I've
fingers
been
in so many
working.
pies.
I've been working on a parody article for quite some time for the site. I think I might have shown you, Kevin. This was a while ago about women in magic. Do you?
You're gonna get my site banned now, huh?
Uh huh.
Oh boy.
Oh God. Okay. Here we go. I'll just read you the first paragraph to give you a taste.
Yeah.
Women in Magic. As current president of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, registered trademark, it may come as a surprise to you that the sight of anyone playing Magic the Gathering with two X chromosomes is enough to make my piss boil. Magic is a thinking man's game, and as far as I can tell, there are no kitchen utensils, cleaning products, or crying infants that are associated with it. So why is it that about every 6 to 12 months, our eyes have to be exposed to the tribulations of women's experience in magic through the form of a condescending, uninformed, and immature article? And that's the first paragraph.
Oh wow.
So that gives you a good taste of.
You gotta
Well, and
make
then
sure
people won't
that
get it's
people read
parody.
it as a parody and not take it serious, because then they'll spread it and it's like, oh, this is real. No, it's like from the Onion. It's from the Magic Onion. So just calm down.
That's kind of the effect I want, though. I want people to get mad at it.
Well, let's save this discussion for another day
For
Yes.
sure.
because I gotta pee and
All right.
and close the shop.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for allowing me to hold you over for nearly 3 hours.
Works. Yeah. That was
Yep. Don't be
great.
strangers. We'll do this again, and we'll probably have more direction with
Oh,
topics.
we're gonna be going back and forth into Discord anyway. So I mean,
Yep.
Kevin has a whole bunch of Commander hate he needs to get through.
Oh, man.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me, and thank all of you who may be watching. I don't know, we're about 3 hours in, and it's going to be the first episode, so probably not going to get many viewers, if at all, but if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. This is, well, I was about to do my old fucking Tasty Snackies outro. Jesus Christ. I don't even know what an outro for this would be. I guess just goodbye. Good day.
The Multiverse podcast. I don't know, like just that's what we're calling it, but I don't know. We'll just tell the nice audience members just to go away or something, and we'll come up with a nice little outro later. Just we'll postpone the outro.
Yeah, go on, get out of here. We're closed. You don't have to go home. You just have to get out of here. All right. Well, I guess that'll be it for the episode tonight. So, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next time.